interrupting and being rude and doing what I don't tell you to do. All right. So here's what we're going to do. Actually, Shaman, you were first back there, but it kicked out on you. So I wanted to hand it to you first, and then we'll go back and start with Clay after that, and we'll work our way around. So Shaman, Omar, what are your thoughts so far? What did you want to ask Israel? Tell Israel, commentary, whatever, you name it, go.
Actually, I don't want to steal the Israel's thunder. I just wanted to be a part of this and watch this by faith bloodbath that I think is going to happen. And Ash, is good to see him. I've been trying to have a few words with him, but let's continue with. I respectfully pass to our Christian brothers on the panel and let them go. Good to see you, Rabbi Israel.
Go diving in. Fair enough. Fair enough, Omar.
The connection. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, Clay, I'm going to hand it over to you. Go for it. Bring it on out.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to probably with the question that you're or the statement that you're making, Jesus is not God. I actually side with you on that. I would colloquially be called a Christian. I don't call myself a Christian, but I believe that Christ is King. I believe that He is the necessary sacrifice that was made, that sort of thing. So I'm probably going to side with you more on any arguments against things. I may be a little backup for you, but obviously I'm not Jewish if I'm of the Christian faith and that sort of thing. But I do have a particular question for you because I did look at a couple of your videos and I was listening to you. I was wondering who you believe wrote the first 5 books, the Torah.
I believe it was Moses.
Okay. And then the follow-up would be, what about that last chapter in Deuteronomy?
After his death?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It could have been him before his death, or it could have been other people. I don't think it makes much of a difference to the actual Torah itself, because there's no laws in that chapter. It's just simply a closeout. There's an interesting statement about someone burying Moses who was not a man, so that's an interesting point. It also says that even though the Israelites were waiting for their prophet like Moses, no one arose like Moses after he died. So that's pretty much the interesting points there, but pretty much it's a closeout on like the significance of Moses as a prophet and the fact that everyone in Israel witnessed the wonders that were done by God through the hand of Moses.
So it's a good chance that it was somebody else that wrote that, at least that last chapter. Maybe not the other ones, but definitely the last chapter.
There's a chance, but you have to consider the fact that if Moses is operating off of prophecy, he could have written that before he died.
I like that. I like where you're going with that, and that's the prophecy. So in reference to prophecy, that's actually why when you read the whole Bible in Christianity, why it leads me to believe that Jesus is that Messiah. So, but anyway, like I said, I'll probably side with you a lot more than going against you. I'm of the belief that in order to be Muslim, you must be Christian first. In order to be Christian, you must be Jewish first. In order to be Jewish, you must be from Melchizedek, the order of Melchizedek. I know some people pronounce that differently. I apologize to anybody who pronounces it differently. So on and so forth, all the way back to Adam. So appreciate you being here. I'll pass it off.
Okay. Before we move forward, Israel, I'm going to make an adjustment to your mic, and I want to turn you up louder, and hopefully that will work. Can I get just a test on that? Okay. That should be better. All right, Andrew, I'm going to hand it off to you, sir. Oh, you're muted, Andrew, on our side.
Got it. Okay. How's it going, Rabbi? Good to meet you here. My name's Andrew.
How are you? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So I do have a couple questions for you about your argument. The one that I saw particularly, because I was also streaming, so I didn't catch the whole thing, but I saw the short that Sarah posted. So I'm going to take this as like your basic premise. You could tell me if it's wrong. I'll repeat it back to you quick. Basically, you're saying that because in the Bible it describes groups like the Nephilim as the son of God, and clearly they're not God, so therefore that label of son of God doesn't apply to God himself. Also, you mentioned the Holy Spirit. This is just a spirit, so if it's God's spirit, there's no reason to like describe it as something else. It's God's spirit, right? There's no reason to put a different name on it, Holy Spirit, right? So this is like the basic part of the argument that I heard. Is that right so far?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to tell you a little bit from the Catholic position why this is incorrect, because you are talking about Jesus, so I kind of have to take it from a Christian position. And as a Catholic, I'm very lucky to have the benefit of thinkers like Thomas Aquinas that I can lean back to. So if we look at what Thomas Aquinas says about God and why you're wrong about the nature of God from the Christian Catholic perspective.
And Andrew, your mic is like bottoming out or something, like fish bowling.
How about now?
Perfect.
Okay, so from the Christian perspective, you're wrong about a few things in your premise. So your premise is wrong. You're wrong about the nature of God. Thomas Aquinas says God is not a being. God is being. So God is not something that's here on this earth. So when you look at the Spirit, which you describe as God's Spirit, but I'm assuming you know the Hebrew and maybe even the Greek, the word they use is pneuma in Greek. I know the Hebrew word as well. I'm not going to attempt to say it. I don't try to speak Hebrew, but you could probably, I know that both of these words, and you probably know this as well, have a context of more than just a spirit, especially in Greek. That's where we get like pneumatic power tools from this word. It means like blowing air on. It's something that's physically here. It's not just God's Spirit. So that's the separation between the Holy Spirit and God himself, who's not a being. He is being. This is the Catholic position, as per Thomas Aquinas. So then if you look at Jesus, there's no way to ever interact with God and see him in any type of human form except as Jesus. That's the only time it's ever been done. And you'll never see him otherwise from our position. So this is how you look upon him. This is when he took the human form and you look upon him. So there's actually no problem with using Nephilim or any of these things. And last category, I know this is where we're going around, is in quoting the Bible itself to make this determination. Because the Bible to us is not one book. It's a library of books, 66 books. So it's like you're going into a library, you're taking a book on poetry, and you're saying, oh, this bibliography over here isn't true. So your entire premise is wrong from the Christian position. So I'd just like to hear what you have to say about that, about the nature of God and the nature of the Bible, and why this doesn't disprove that Jesus is God.
Of course. So first of all, I actually like your statement from Aquinas that God is being itself. I don't disagree with that. In fact, I mentioned earlier that the name for God in the Bible, Yehovah, means God of the presence, God who is the presence of existence itself. So I actually think that saying that God is existence itself is synonymous with existence is not wrong, and actually makes a lot of sense, because nothing would exist without God, right? The fact that existence exists, if God is from the beginning, the first and the last, then by definition, existence has to be synonymous with God. So I agree with that. And I also agree that, as I mentioned from Exodus, when Moses was encountering God said, you cannot see my face and live. It's impossible for a human being to actually witness God face to face. So yes, God manifesting in the flesh would be a way for us to interact with him. As I mentioned in the Torah itself, God manifests in the flesh when he's meeting with Abraham, when he's wrestling with Jacob. So it's not foreign. There are angels and all these different beings. In fact, one of the terms to reference God is Yahweh of legions, the master of legions. So there are legions of beings in existence. The only point that I was making about the sons of God is that, generally speaking, when we look at the sons of God, we're looking at something that is begotten of the Father, something that comes after, right? And so it wouldn't make sense to worship the Son who is coming after the Father. That was the only point I was making.
Can I ask one follow-up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you had also mentioned that Moses himself, and I'm just trying to show that them being the sons of God and being called that doesn't negate the fact that Jesus also had a similar title. That's my point. But I want to go back to what you said about Moses. Your big point was that so many people witnessed it, right? So this was thousands of years ago, and you're still going to go on eyewitness testimony. I would ask what you think about modern Christian miracles, like Our Lady of Guadalupe, that was witnessed by all of Mexico. Mexico converted because of this one event. I don't know if you're familiar with it. An apparition of Mary appeared on a piece of cloth in front of people. And today, with people with technology, they've zoomed in on her eyes, and you could see the people that were standing there in front of her. Multiple people were there. That's why Mexico has that image of Mary everywhere. So if you take examples like that, witnessed by multiple people, and then you take examples like Padre Pio, who didn't live that long ago and had 50 years of blood coming out of his hands, no sepsis, interviewed by doctors. You can read their medical reports. They wrapped it and watched him under observation and said, there's no way this will still be bleeding. 7 days later, they unwrapped it, still bleeding. No scar tissue, no trauma. He dies. 10 minutes later, it heals up. Right? And this is witnessed by multiple people. You can see it on video. It's on YouTube.
Andrew, half of the world's population bleeds for 1 week a month and continues to live.
Out of their hands for 50 years and never get an infection.
It's called a miracle of life.
Let Israel respond.
For 50 years bleeds out of his hand, never gets an infection. You can go online and read the doctor's report. It's medically impossible. Even if you ask ChatGPT, it will just say unexplained, because it's not going to say, oh, this was a miracle. So I asked the rabbi if witnessing miracles or witnessing things are the example. Most of these modern things that we witness have to do with Christianity, it seems to me.
Okay, so first of all, I definitely believe in miracles. I believe that God's power is above all and he can do anything. And I also believe that there are forces in existence that are spiritual that are not God. And that's by definition something that the Torah speaks of. There are other gods, there are other forces, there are forces, darker spirits you can harness for witchcraft and things like that. So the practice of a miracle itself does not prove truth. And something that makes me chuckle, because I grew up in rabbinic Judaism, and they have so many miracle stories. Like literally, this rabbi told a doctor that if you go into the brain and do this thing in the surgery, then it'll be fine, right? And like this, of course, this rabbi never had any education as a brain surgeon, so they're saying it as proof that the rabbis are divine and all these things. And look, I'm not here to undermine the fact that there are people who have divinity. Sometimes it's a positive form of divinity, sometimes it's a negative one. The only Torah source, again, that I can give you is Deuteronomy 13, where it says that if a prophet comes and performs a miracle and says to worship other gods, then you should not follow that. So, you know, the point is that if we're being called to foreign worship on the basis of miracles, that's not enough to change our belief. And to your point about Moses, well, again, the whole idea here of this faith is that it was airtight. Moses set the stage that, like, following his death and following the law being given, there was nothing that could change after that in terms of our perception of God and our perception of the law. And so if a miracle is being used, for example, like now what? Let's say that Mother Mary appeared to everyone. So now what? Should we start worshiping Mary? Because if we worshiped Mary, that would be against the Torah, right? It would be against when God says, do not worship anyone else. You know, the Jews, by the way, were worshiping the Queen of Heaven in the Old Testament, and they were exiled from the land for that. So, you know, we have to be careful with this stuff. I'm not denying that miracles exist. I believe we exist in a spiritual reality. That's abundantly clear to me. So the fact that spiritual things happen is par for the course. That's completely normal. The real question is, are we going to allow miracles to change the foundation of our faith, which was established even on the basis of miracles? That can't change it.
Okay. Ash, to you, sir.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
We can. Thank you.
I'm on my crappy headphones. I apologize. I'm sick if I sneeze in your ear, everyone. Yeah, so I was joking before. It wasn't about being mean to Israel that I didn't agree to debate him. I just think that the natural progression historically is to go from rabbinic Judaism to Karaite to Catholic anyway, so I don't see the point in it. But history has the proof. But so I think it's very brave of you to take this up as a open cross-examination without any formal debate. So that's pretty cool. I appreciate the bravery. I would ask this: would you say that your issue with Christianity is that, similarly to rabbinic Judaism, it does to an extent rely on oral traditions?
Yeah, I think it relies on oral traditions, and I think it contradicts the Torah.
Okay. When trying to determine facts about truth in a Mosaic covenant context, what are the criteria for presenting that evidence to the court?
Witnesses?
How many?
2 or 3.
2 or 3. Is there a time limit given on that testimony?
No.
And is it a written testimony or is it an oral testimony?
Seems to be oral.
Okay. In Christianity, is the referent of worship the God of Israel?
The referent?
The referent, the person who's being worshipped, who the claim is that they are referencing in their worship. Is it the God of Israel?
Yeah, I think I've been reading the New Testament. I'm almost done. There is definitely like they say, God the Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. So I see like there's a split there. But yeah, they're definitely following in the pathway of the Old Testament. That's why they attached the New Testament to the Old Testament.
So mistaken as Christians might be, the referent is still the God of Israel in that worship.
Yeah, and I think that makes us fundamentally allies.
So Deuteronomy 13 could not be
others.
used to invalidate. So Deuteronomy 13 could not be used to invalidate Jesus as Lord of God of Israel, because the referent is still the God of Israel. There's no false gods being chased after.
Sure, but if you're going to change the definitions on us of who the God of Israel is, then just like if I say that this cup on my table is the God of Israel, it doesn't mean we should start worshiping it. Like you have to. There's a criteria of how to define the God of Israel, and the God of Israel defines that for himself, saying, "I am."
So how do you define who the God of Israel is?
Well, I think he defines himself quite well. Exodus 3:15, I am Jehovah, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This is my memorial for eternity. That should be the way that we reference him, and I don't see why we should start introducing another name or another figure, another character into this Godhead.
Right, but you still haven't determined how we as human beings can come to the decision that we are actually hearing from the God of Israel and not some other entity pretending to be the God of Israel.
Of course, but it has to be in line with what's established in the 5 books of Moses. The 5 books of Moses is establishing the faith of the God of Israel, saying this is the accurate representation of Yahweh passed from Adam through Noah, through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, all the way through Moses and the Israelites and the covenant, the eternal covenant that was made then. What's being said there is that anything that comes after this, whether it be a deviation from the law or a distortion of the God that we worship, by definition, we have departed from the foundation of the faith. It's now a different faith. Maybe you can say that is the superior God, and he's greater than Yahweh, but I don't see how that's truly in line with Yehovah.
So I'd have to ask then, do you use for your 5 books of Moses the Masoretic text that was compiled in the 9th century, or do you use for example, LXX, the Septuagint that was compiled by the church?
I find them to be pretty much the same. Are there any significant differences?
There's some significant differences in some regards, but for example, Deuteronomy, I'd say 32, the host of heaven worshiping along with Israel, for example, is left out of the Masoretic.
But why is that so? How does that change my faith at all? Yeah, so the host of heaven.
Well, all it means is you're relying on either one tradition or the other to even know that you have the 5 books of Moses.
I mean, again, the differences are so minimal that you just said that it's the host of heaven worshiping with Israel. Okay, I accept that. Of course, the host of heaven is worshiping with Israel. Now, will we have a different Torah now?
No, what I'm saying is that because there are textual variants, there are contradictions between the 2 traditions.
They're minimal. They're so minimal that, can you give me another example that undermines the Torah?
Well, it would be irrelevant at this point, but the point is, which tradition do you rely on for your 5 books of Moses?
I rely on the preserved writings of the Torah that are pretty much identical across all faiths and traditions and writings.
And so how do you know that those are in fact the Word of God?
Well, obviously there is a level of faith that goes into that. You can't know for certain, but God calls us to know, and I think there's knowledge that goes beyond scientific evidence and necessarily a personal and individual encounter with this. When you resonate with this faith and you read the words and you see that they're life-giving and the principles are true and they speak directly to your soul, and then when you read these commandments are not far away from you, not in the heaven, not across the sea, it's in your mouth and in your heart to understand it. And I know that it's in my mouth and in my heart, and I see the truth of these words and how they're eternal and how they help mankind throughout all of the ages, and that if we follow the Torah, we would be healed as a society and as a collective humanity and as individuals.
But you still haven't told me by how I know that this is the Word of God. You haven't told me.
What do you mean by no?
I can trust. So
What do you mean by
I would
what
say
criteria?
also, Ash, start to wrap it up so that we can let others too.
Okay, so yeah, so that's
like
basically where I
scientific
was going.
evidence? Scientific evidence?
Right. So
What do
if
you
you're
mean by
relying
no?
on essentially, so just to kind of put it at its final point here, if you're relying on the history that we have of eyewitness testimony to the miracles of the God of Israel at the Exodus, for example, wouldn't that same criteria apply to Jesus Christ?
Yeah, and I'm not even denying, like, if I'm not denying that God could raise Jesus Christ from the grave. That would be as easy as snapping his fingers. I mean, it
But
says,
Jesus
by the way,
said
in
that
the
he
New
rose himself
Testament,
from the grave.
well, I mean, it says very many times that God rose Jesus Christ from the grave. I mean, I could
Right, because he's God.
pull up those
So it's
sources.
one and the same.
Well, I mean, it's in the book of Acts. They say, God raised his son Jesus from the dead. So you can certainly read that as God is the one who raised Jesus.
Right, but the claim is he is Yahweh. So the point is you're using the New Testament's terminology about using the same term for the Father and for the Son and for the Holy Spirit as God to justify your own claim, which you're using the New Testament's theological claims.
Yeah, again, I'm
not
not basing my faith on the New Testament. I'm basing my faith on the Torah. I'm saying that God could
But
raise
you don't know what the
Jesus
Torah is
from
without
the
the New
dead.
Testament or the rabbis, one or the other.
That's
You
not
have to choose
true.
which one.
That's not true, because both the
Yeah, those are
rabbis
the
and
two
the
traditions that
Christians
give you a Torah
have.
and the eyewitness testimony to its
No,
miracles.
they don't give me the Torah. God gives me the Torah. And remarkably, two entirely different traditions who
You
are at
have no
odds
idea that
with
he
each
gave you the
other
Torah.
have
You're
been
relying on history
preserving.
of eyewitness testimony.
Well, yeah,
Let's put a pin in that one, Ash.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Thank you.
once everybody gets their thoughts out, then we'll move into full open panel, and everybody can
I'm gonna head
start
out because I
chiming
am
in.
sick. But Israel, feel free to hit me up if you
Sure.
want to talk about it privately at any point. You got my number, so we can go
Sure.
Okay, or publicly.
or public.
Yeah, we could always set up a one-on-one debate. We do host those here too. All right, Spin wanted me to pass on him. Omar, I wanted to hand it back to you if you had a thought to add in here. If not, I'll move on to Vibe. You're muted, by the way. I hit your mute button for you.
Rookie mistake. No, I was just going to say right there when we're talking about witnesses and stuff. The only witnesses, again, is it possible Jesus resurrected for sure? But the only person who said and declared that there were 500 witnesses was Paul, and Paul wasn't there, nor did he meet Jesus. So it's kind of like using one point to go against Rabbi Israel. Perfect, but also that's the foundation of what you're saying too. So we have to be consistent with those perspectives.
Exactly. And again, by the way, Jews and Christians have been maintaining identical Torahs, even though they hate each other and are completely at odds with each other. And they base their entire religions off of the Torah. So by definition, that is the foundation of the faith. And that was accepted as history and the understanding of God for thousands of years.
Okay.
Ash
Vibe.
left.
Yeah, he left. Vibe, I'll go ahead and hand it over to you, sir.
Yeah. Hey, Israel, it's great to meet you.
No worries.
I am Christian, just to let you know. And I only had like 30 minutes to check you out prior. And I'm assuming you, because I know there's internet personalities, I'm assuming you're actually an Orthodox rabbi, not just like going by that on YouTube, right?
No, I'm not Orthodox. I just follow the Torah and teach it. So that would make me a rabbi.
Because a rabbi is a teacher, not a right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're probably more informed and more intelligent about theology than I am. I am an ant. I am an idiot. I'm always trying to understand it as a Christian. But I do want to bring up the first point that I thought was a little bit interesting, is I kind of felt like the prompt is kind of a bait and switch. So you're Jewish, and we know, like in the United States, we come together as a Judeo-Christian country, even though we have this different belief. And ultimately, really, where I think you do believe that Jesus was not God, the real statement, the bait and switch, is you don't believe that Jesus is our Messiah. And I mean, in the Jewish faith, and correct me if I'm wrong, because like I said, I'm an idiot here. In the Jewish faith, you do believe there is going to be a Messiah. The Christians said, we count him as the Messiah. And you guys basically say, nope, he didn't, because our Messiah was supposed to be a king. He's supposed to bring peace. He was supposed to do all these things, right? Would that be a fair statement, or am I incorrect on understanding the theology differences between you and me?
Okay, so by the way, what you're saying is actually a good point, because if you were having a debate with an Orthodox Jew, it would be about the Messiah question. To me, because I'm following the Torah, nowhere in the Torah does it mention a Messiah. Nowhere in the Torah does it say, thou shalt wait for the Messiah to come to save you, right? In the Torah, it says you, yourself, you and your family need to return to God with your heart and soul. That is your key to redemption, to salvation, is your individual improvement as a human being. For me, the reason why I chose to go with Jesus is not God is because I'm much more preoccupied with the question of who is God than who is the Messiah. I don't think that the question of the Messiah is that central to our existence. It's definitely not the case in the Torah at all. And if we're counting the Torah as what is revealed to us, and that is what we need to be following, who God appoints as a future leader over the earth, or as a past leader who will return as a future leader, really is not important to me, because God ultimately reigns supreme over everyone, and God is the God of gods, the Lord of lords, the King of kings. So if we're following God, then we're following his Messiah too, whoever that may be or may not be. I just personally am not preoccupied with the Messiah question. I'm preoccupied with the God question.
And that's really interesting too, because we can actually look at this in the Torah and then the rest of the Jewish Bible, and then we can look at the New Testament and the testimonies, and then Paul's writings and letters afterwards, right? And they almost can be segmented in the same way, in the sense that, hey, we've got these original writings that you're saying are from Moses. We're saying, hey, we've got these original writings that are from the apostles that were there during this time. And then we've got this extra stuff afterwards, right? So I did hear you say many times focusing on the Torah, right? And it's perfect timing for me, because I'm doing like my third iteration of the Bible. I'm on day 28 of Deuteronomy and chapter 28. So like a lot of the quotes you were saying, I've just went through.
Awesome.
But are you saying, essentially, in your view, you are 100%, just like there are some Christians that just go, you know what, we're just going to go on the Testaments. We're not going to believe in Paul's word. Are you saying I go 100% on the Torah and everything else is just kind of allegory for the story of Judaism before
Pretty
the New
much,
Testament?
yeah. Yeah, and I think that the Torah sets that as the standard. That's why I'm saying this, not because it's my opinion, but because I think the Torah explicitly says, like, you cannot add or subtract to these commandments. What is revealed to you is revealed to you in this Torah. That God is one and he is Yahweh. End of story. So, the idea that people are going to come later on and tell you, well, you also have to believe the Messiah is going to come, and you also have to believe in the resurrection of the dead, and you also have to believe that God is three, and you also have to believe that the rabbis are the ones who tell you what to do, and that the church is the one who tells you. Well, it's like, no, that's not what I'm actually required to do according to the standard that God himself set in place. So because I'm following that standard, I'm not going to take any writing that comes after that, even if it's in the Old Testament, to override the requirements that are upon me from the Torah itself.
Oh, that's so interesting, because that totally changes like everything. Like I was taking tons of notes, assuming that you're like looking at the whole Old Testament. I didn't understand, and I did hear you say Torah, but I didn't actually equate that. I figured you were saying that's the base of the law, and I do have arguments for Christianity where we didn't actually change anything and we didn't add or subtract. But I do want to be able to pass it on to the next person, so maybe we can leave that for the open panel. But this is actually really interesting and a really fun debate, in that, in a sense, you're kind of refusing anything after the Torah.
Yeah, so long as
so
long as it contradicts it in any way or requires me to follow a commandment or faith claim outside of the Torah.
I mean, does anything in the Torah contradict a Messiah?
It just simply is not the focus. Like, there is no commandment in the Torah that says you shall wait for the Messiah to come. Like, that's just it's not mentioned, right? And so when you start to see that that's not even the goal of existence, to achieve messianism, the goal of existence is to achieve self-improvement. I mean, that's all the way, again, as we mentioned, Cain, the first man born on earth, improve himself. Like, this is about us and our personal lives and our families. And yeah, thank God for great leaders like Moses, like Joshua, like Samuel, like Jesus. Like, I have a lot of reverence for the character of Jesus. I just don't think that we should allow later writings and claims to override our foundational faith.
Okay,
perfect.
Morgan, welcome, my friend. To you, sir. You are muted. I don't know if you're aware of that, Morgan. Morgan, are you with us?
All right, I'll remember to.
Is he coming in for anyone else?
Thank you.
Choppy,
Morgan,
I can't see his mouth moving.
Yeah, Morgan, I think you got a
really
lag. Morgan, turn your camera off
Moses in the
and see if
burning
that.
bush. Now, the children in Acadia, they're told. Okay.
Yeah, I think you got a lag. Turn your camera off. See if that helps. And then now try to go.
They would be told the I am is Jesus.
Mhm.
Anybody else picking up on?
Didn't
It
even
appears
Jesus,
Israel
right.
has no
like God
Israel
called
doesn't have a
himself
defense
Jesus.
for that one.
Morgan, I think you've got some a lot of lag going on your end. Why don't you go ahead and hop out and maybe try jumping back in and see if that works. Webby, you have the worst name known to man, considering your web always sucks. Oh, well, then he pops out too. All right, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and maneuver into open panel mode. Let me go ahead and bring up, I've got Balderson backstage. I've got Ant backstage. Thank God we have some people with good internet going on. Hold on. Let me try you one more time, Webby. I'm going to try you one more time. All right, Webby, go ahead, and we'll see from there.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Yes.
Perfect.
Oh, mate, good work for doing this, by the way. This doesn't look easy, sat on that side of this interrogation. Mate, my biggest concern at this stage in time is how these things interact with with reality at the moment. So let's say, for example, the West is Christian countries, let's say Israel, Judaist country, and then the Muslim countries. And how do those behaviors manifest in those countries? So, for example, the stuff that you've said, I actually quite agree with quite a bit of it. I'm trying to understand more of the difference between yourself and your beliefs between that and rabbinic Judaism. Do you still pray 3 times a day? Is there any differences there? Israel?
Did you hear him, Israel?
No, I don't hear anything.
Oh, you didn't hear him at all.
No.
Yeah, that's a weird StreamYard glitch. You got to leave Webby and come back in.
Okay.
Or Israel does.
I heard him.
I think it's Israel.
Hold on. Everybody stop for a second. Israel, you can hear me, right?
I can hear you, and I heard Mr. Balderson.
Okay, I want you to go down to your audio settings for what you can hear, and I want you to change your audio settings to something else and then change it back to your headphones.
So I'm actually going through an external. I'm going through an external vault. So I don't have. You want me to just change what I'm listening to and then go back to it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, change your speaker mode to something else. And while he's working on that, Morgan comes in with 5 months of a membership, says, "Thank you, Jesus is Lord." Thank you, Morgan. We appreciate you. Sometimes it's just when you have crappy internet, it doesn't work. And he also sends in the big 5 and says, "Thank you for hosting. You're most welcome, Morgan. You are most welcome." All right. Were you able to adjust it?
Almost.
Okay. And in the midst of that, Iotin sends the big 5 as a kind reminder that you owe your tomato tax. Don't forget you have a dono goal sitting up there and you've got 14 minutes to hit it before I become an angry mater, and you don't want to see that happen. So feel free to change that. How about now, Israel? Are you set?
Not yet.
Okay.
He missed all the compliments that I was giving him too.
And also backstage, I do have Rock E. Shepherd hanging tight back there. I've got the psychic Dashton, our lovely stuffed animal friend. Mark hanging out backstage. I do need a quick cam up back there before I can add you to the roster. Just cam up, say hello. You can stay in avatar mode after that. Is it a full moon? We got a lot of tech issues tonight.
Yes.
I sound okay, correct?
Yeah, you sound fine for once.
New headset.
Yay.
So should not be an issue for a while.
It's usually me, so I sympathize.
That's okay.
Oh, did he hear me? He just smiled.
Did you hear Toasty? I just read Toasty's super chat. Did you hear Webby talk?
Yeah, I heard.
Oh,
okay.
Would you like me to start again?
Sound like
you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Nice. Yeah, I heard Webby.
Okay, so I'll just briefly go back.
I heard something about compliments. No.
Yes, there was some compliments in there, but they won't be coming out for a second time. So just take it as they were compliments. My question is, I worry how these things interact. So let's say if we gave the Western the term Christian world, and then we gave Muslims the Muslim world, and Israel Judaist world. Where I want to learn more is the sect that you believe versus the rabbinic. Is there many major differences? Like, do you still pray 3 times a day?
Oh yeah, there's major differences because you have to understand Judaism is very misunderstood by people. It's really not a religion of God anymore. I hate to say it's a religion of the rabbis. So, for example, the 3 times a day thing that you just mentioned, right? That's not a commandment in the Torah. It's not. The majority of things you're going to hear from the rabbis. I mentioned they have 5,000 laws between all of their Talmud and stuff. I don't follow any of that. So, again, it doesn't mean that you're an evil person if you pray 3 times a day. It's just I don't believe that it's required. So therefore, I try to pray. I try to pray all the time, to be honest.
What I'm getting at is the behaviors, though. So does the Birkat Haminin, is that one of the prayers that you would recite daily?
No, so I don't recite any of their blessings. I don't all the blessings are rabbinic. I had a rabbi try to come challenge my wife. My wife is not a Jew. She's Armenian, raised Christian. And so this rabbi who's been in yeshiva, which is rabbinical school for 10, 15 years, he comes to debate me, and my wife is with me. And he's like, so what blessing do you make on orange peels? and we're like, oh, you really stumped me there. You don't have to make any blessings on it and anything. Like that's not a Torah law. You don't have to sit here obsessing like which blessing to make, how many times to wash your hands. Like that's one of the things, again, I really like about Jesus when he challenges the Pharisees. Like, oh, you're so worried about how many times to wash your hands. In the meantime, like your father's a devil. So like, what's going on here? So I think that's a pretty good point.
You would probably agree with me that the Birkat Haminin shouldn't probably be recited in a Christian country when it's saying what it's saying, right, in English.
So here's what I'll say. I was raised Orthodox, so I know the blessing. I don't see it referencing Christians outright, so I can recite it for you actually right now. It says, "V'lam al shinim al tihi tikva." There shall be no hope for the slanderers, so people that like inform on us.
No. The real word. What's the real word? The heretics.
V'chol haminim and all the heretics. So yeah, I'm sure they would consider. I'm sure they would consider Christians heretics, but they don't say.
So it is talking about Christians then.
Well, it's talking about Jews too, so they would consider me a heretic too. So don't worry, we're friends. So no, they absolutely consider anyone who doesn't follow the rabbi's form of Judaism heretics. But the word is not Christian. So actually, the Hebrew word for Christian is notzrim. They're not calling out Christians straight out. They're just saying all people that we deem heretics, which yes would include Christians, but it would include Jews like myself too who don't follow the rabbis.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you agree. So my problem, I suppose, is the very title of this, Jesus is not God. If that was inverted, even in a Christian country, that in some of the Christian countries could lead to prosecution. Do you agree that double standard shouldn't apply?
Are you saying that if this was a Christian country and I said Jesus is not God, I would be persecuted?
No. If I was to do that against the let's say the Jewish faith in a similar tone.
Oh, interesting. Like if you said that, I don't know, Yahweh is not God.
Don't say it just in case. But you kind of know where I'm going with it, right?
Yeah, I mean, are you referring to like what's going on with like the Jewish situation and the state of Israel and all that stuff?
Insert whichever Judaism figure instead of Jesus.
Yeah, look,
and
as I
say
mentioned
that out loud in some of the Christian countries could be prosecuted, right? Now,
I
how
heard,
you would be treated in Israel will be very different, way worse. But that's their country, right? Do we as Christians reserve the right to not allow this kind of word, or should we just open the playing field and everybody can say what they want, like freedom of speech is supposed to be?
Well, yeah, I think freedom of speech is very important. The Torah has complete freedom of speech, except for cursing your parents and cursing God. That's the only time you're not allowed to say something. So, but as far as speech goes, we should be able to say pretty much anything.
I think that's pretty fair. I think you've been pretty fair the whole time. I have my own thoughts on how we got to this mess that we're in Christian countries. And I think that men splitting into alphas, betas, and deltas has a big part to play in that. But that's a whole nother discussion. I'll pass from there. Sarah, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Pleasure talking to you. I agree. I think that there's been a real imbalance with masculinity, femininity, men, women, and all this stuff. And the Bible really teaches us the right way with all these things. So it's great.
I want to also add in Toasty Man Bad and Texas Bully Mom came in with their big tomato tax contributions to ensure that our goal was completed for the evening, or at least for this portion. So thank you so kindly. I'll now leave the floor open if anybody wants to kind of jump in and kick us off with a thought process. And of course, anybody is welcome to come and go as they please on the panel. Also backstage, I have Rock E. Shepherd, Mark Amponin, and Dashton hanging tight backstage. If you'd like to shake up the panel, you can boot anyone off of this panel except for Israel, and Omar is under protected immunity for the evening as well as a featured guest, since he made this happen anyways. But for measly $10, if somebody's annoying you or you don't like them, or maybe you just don't like the way they look, I don't care. $10, you can boot them. You can boot them backstage and
now
bring somebody else up. Go ahead.
Now I know how it feels to be a Zionist in America.
On the topic of exactly what the topic is, right? God, or Jesus is not God. And during your one-on-one with Sarah, you were talking about how, God can't be man. But then later on, you did say, God can do anything. So I can't say that God can't be man. And so there was a little bit of contradiction there. And I wanted to take you into my world here for a second. And my world, and it's kind of the original question I asked you too, is basically you're denying, because it's not in the Torah, and because you're ignoring everything else of the Old Testament, that there is no call for a Messiah. But let's just say there is no call for a Messiah, but God does come. And I know there's a lot of gamers on YouTube, so let's just say God's up there, he gets himself a game console, and he puts himself on the planet Earth, and he starts navigating that as his avatar, right? So here he is, his avatar, Jesus, and he's saying, hey, I'm actually not reversing any of the rules of the Torah. I'm looking at the 10 Commandments, and I'm going to fulfill them. And as my avatar, I'm going to say that actually the number one goal is worship God first, which covers the first 4 commandments, and then worship people second, which is the next 6 commandments, right? He's not actually overturning it. He's not changing the 10 commandments. And even by him saying that he's sacrificing himself, he is also fulfilling the law of the Old Testament and the Torah. Actually, I'm going to stop saying Old Testament, because I know you're like, not Old Testament, you're Torah. Stop saying Old Testament. The Torah, right? He is now fulfilling the temple rituals, the sacrifices, and those things by being the new lamb, right? And I mean, if I could say to you, if you could concede, and I'm not actually saying I agree, I'm just saying if you could concede that God could be a human on earth, and I think you already did when you said, yeah, God can do anything. Could you not also concede that maybe he hasn't been adding or removing? He is just fulfilling what his original word was?
Yeah, of course. And I never said that God cannot manifest as a man. I just said that man would not be the totality of God by definition, because God is beyond form and, our comprehension. So, yeah, again, I'm not denying the possibility that God did exactly what you said he did. I'm just saying that if we see then that as a result of that, we are, instead of worshiping the God that, took his game console and made a little human as himself, instead of worshiping that, we should just worship the one who sent him. And I mean, Jesus says as much, where he says, I'm not here on my own accord. I'm here by the one who sent me. And, I don't have power outside. Like, only the Father knows the last day. Only the Father knows this. So you do see a lot of that in the New Testament. Again, like, you also see aspects where there's worship of Jesus. So I'm not going to use the New Testament to prove anything, only to say that there is a lot in the New Testament to back up what you're saying. Ultimately, my only point is that it wouldn't make sense to worship the person of Jesus the same way it wouldn't make sense to worship the burning bush. If God manifests himself in a tangible way among us, we can be thankful for that. But also, it doesn't mean that we should lose track of who the greater God is beyond all of these things, beyond everything that we can possibly see, feel, or comprehend.
And can you guys still hear me? Because I see I'm frozen.
We can hear you, yeah.
Okay, that's good. Okay,
yeah,
so I'll just go.
We can hear you.
Oh.
I guess that didn't work for you, Vibe. If you can get back on, go ahead and jump back in on the link there. It'll happen. And Dashton, a Texas bully mom wanted you to choose to bring somebody up. I'm going to take that drops as a go ahead to get you up here. I'm going to leave room for Vibe. There's Israel.
Really? So, yeah. So, what do y'all think about y'all? We're talking about Jesus is God. I think Jesus is the Son of God, of course. Like, he's our brother, but he's so more closer to God than anybody else, and he has the light of presence of heaven, and he can do so much light. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. I mean, I think it would be undeniable.
When you call out to Jesus, it's powerful because he's so close to God, and his light is with Jesus more than anyone, because he's so one with God, and he can be the human to connect us to God and his light, and he's the only way, because he's done it. He's at that place where you call it to him, he can come. But he tells me, he said, I'm here to save Selena, which was my girlfriend. And one other day he said, tell her to something in her heart, which was my friend who's a Sagittarius Virgo rising, moon in Aries. So those are the words that Jesus said to me when I encountered him. And he's really pretty. And he has that's alive, and it feels like jelly, and inside is all his colorful of light and energy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that in and of itself explains the problem.
It's like a love child that changed my voice when I was in the presence of Jesus. I could never make myself feel like that.
Hang tight, Dashton. He was trying to respond to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just saying. I think that in and of itself, you're revealing the problem. What, like, oh, Jesus is. I'm saying, I think in can you hear me?
Dashton, I think you have a delay, darling. I'm going to tuck you backstage. Go ahead and jump out and then jump back in if you can. All right. Next in line, I had Rock E up. But
Sarah,
I'll let you guys.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me? If I could just respond to that for a second, because I think that statement of it, so like, oh, Jesus is so pretty, like what the hell does that mean exactly? Like, okay, so you worship your God because he's pretty. Like, this has to be beyond your little feelings here. Like, oh, moon Aries. Also, how does that make it into this conversation? Right. The reality is that we worship a God who is beyond all these things. We don't worship forms. We don't worship constellations. We don't worship stars. We don't worship Mother Nature. We don't worship Mother Mary. God is calling us to a worship that's way beyond our little feelings. And that's an important point that the Torah calls us to over and over again.
And before anybody else jumps in, I want to let you know the gauntlet is officially open. Please, if you are over on the Raging Tomatoes side and you'd like to continue watching Open Panel, we are moving over to the Gauntlet. That is at the Gauntlet Debate on YouTube, at the Gauntlet Debate. Otherwise, I'm shutting down the Raging Tomatoes side on YouTube only now. But yeah, that's where you can go to continue on with us. Everybody here stays placed. Don't move. You're not going anywhere. All right. I'll leave it open. Back to you guys.
I would like to push back on that a little bit. if you don't mind, Rabbi.
Mm-hmm.
So you were saying, okay, you almost accepted that God could have raised Jesus and all this stuff could be true. And you're still saying, like, well, why don't we worship God? Right? Is it, like, we should still focus on the one God, like, even if all this stuff is true, even if he did get raised from the dead. That was like your position? Yeah. So
Yeah.
the reason that Christians or Catholics would disagree with that is because he proved it. So if he was raised from the dead, he proved what he said. If he was a liar, God would not have raised him from the dead. And you said you don't want to use the Bible to the New Testament to prove Christianity, but you want to use it to disprove it. So you're using different lines to kind of try to disprove it a little bit, leaving out the ones where he says, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. The only way to heaven is through me. He also says these things. And if it's true that he was actually raised from the dead, which we have tangible evidence for, even to this day. Also, if you type in ChatGPT, it will just say unexplained. Things like the shroud, things like the Veronica face cloth that you can line up like this perfectly, and the blood spatter are exactly the same blood type, thousands of years old. One of one in history, people were crucified in this manner. One of one with a crown of thorns and a
Jacques Desmoulins. Wasn't Jacques Desmoulins given a crown of thorns also?
Spear in the side and crucified 2,000 years ago in
Not
Jerusalem.
spear in the side, but he was given a crown of thorns too.
Right. So not relevant to what I'm saying. One of one in this specific crucifixion method. Side, thorns, in Jerusalem. The man on the shroud even has pollen from Jerusalem on his knees and his broken nose. The blood flowed from the body. This is scientifically proven. It wasn't painted on. So what I'm saying is we even have tangible evidence, multiple cloths, not even just one. Two. So if it's true that God raised him from the dead, how you could not listen to the other things that he said are beyond me. Otherwise, God wouldn't have done that. So this is the flaw in the argument from the Christian perspective, because again, that's where we're.
Can I just respond to that,
Andrew? If he was God, he would have raised himself. God didn't raise him. If he's God, then he raised himself from the dead. No.
Well, God isn't a he. So that's the point. That's the Catholic position. There is no God. Isn't
an obfuscation, bro?
God is not a being. It's at least in the Catholic position. Like I said before,
I agree with that for sure. I just thought you. Sorry, I thought that's what you thought. That he.
No, look, I just wanted to point out that I'm not disagreeing with you that God probably wouldn't have raised his son from the dead if his son was like going against him. And you're right. I'm bringing certain verses in the New Testament to prove that Jesus is subjugated to the Father, but then in Revelations chapter 1, Jesus says, "I am the beginning and the end." So I'm not trying to make my case off of the New Testament. In fact, ultimately, you're relying on the New Testament as being the Word of God. That's why you believe it in totality. I would say if the New Testament contradicts the Torah in any way, then it just wouldn't be right.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question?
Okay.
Okay. You
right.
Say
so I'm just saying that, like, ultimately, we're still holding the New Testament to the standard of the Torah here. So you're right. In the New Testament, the only way to the Father is through Jesus. But in the Torah, it says in Deuteronomy chapter 4, Yehovah himself is close to anyone who calls out to him. Right. And that's what it means to be part of the covenant of Israel. So I would say, like to me, I just want to appeal to the Father myself. And I don't believe that the only way is through Jesus. I think it's a way. It's clearly a way. But ultimately, what is the journey here? The journey is back to the Father, fundamentally.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But if Jesus proved through his resurrection, and it's not just based on the Bible, I'm showing you tangible evidence.
But then how do you know that the words in the gospel are necessarily not fabricated?
They very well might be. It's just like if you were to go to a court and you had 4 eyewitnesses that gave you a little bit. This one said Sarah was wearing a green shirt. This one said Sarah was wearing a blue shirt, but they all said Sarah did it. They're not going to say, oh, this one said this and this one said that, so the testimony doesn't count. This happens all the time. We have 4 different eyewitness testimonies. 4.
No, we don't. Andrew, we don't have any We have no eyewitness testimonies. We
Okay, I got it.
We have one guy. With all due respect, we have one guy who said that there were 500 witnesses, but he never met Jesus either in life or death. Other than
I'm talking about the Gospels, and the differences in the Gospels is they're told from different perspectives. There are 4 different testimonies, and Catholics believe they're eyewitness testimonies. They may not be the first-hand written account. They may have been.
But does that mean that every word written in there? But does that mean that every word written in there is true? Like, let's just say the overall testimony: Jesus existed and he did all these miraculous things, and he was raised from the dead. Let's even concede that doesn't mean that every single word in the New Testament is true. In which case, I would just say that if I see something in the New Testament that is not based in the Torah, because there are a lot of things in the New Testament that are based in the Torah, but if I see something that's not,
the Torah?
I reserve the right to call that into question. Yeah.
Well, that's the point. Like, so it doesn't have to be exact, and it doesn't. You can find contradictions in the Old Testament or New Testament. It doesn't have to be the infallible word of God.
I haven't seen contradictions in the Torah.
Is the Torah the first 4 books, or
in the 5 books of Moses?
Old Testament? The 5 books of Moses. Okay.
Well, there's a contradiction by definition.
What is
Speaking of the 5 books of Moses, our lineup backstage actually almost sounds like we have like 5 books of something back there. We've got it is a full backstage, so anybody trying to pop in the link right now, it is full. You can't get in. I've got 5 extra people back there. It's Mark. I'm sorry, I was talking. I know I was. Thank you. I've got Mark, Azrael, Ash, Vibe, and Powder Dusty all waiting up. If you'd like to skip the line for anyone up there, it's fine. You can do it with simply $10, but you got to pick somebody on screen to boot backstage so that your person that you want can come up. That's fine, fun and games, except Omar, you cannot boot him, and Israel, you cannot boot him either. Otherwise, everybody else is on the chopping block. So back to you guys. I interrupted. My apologies.
Okay, the Lamb of God in Genesis 3:16.
Again, I'll just repeat I just want you to know I do this. Yeah, I do this.
You know that this guy next to me is talking, or you can't hear him. It doesn't seem like you can.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
He's been having hearing some. That is like that bottom left corner. He can't hear it literally.
That's weird.
Very odd.
Maybe it's like every new person that pops on, he can't hear.
Sarah StreamYard was doing that to me earlier.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it's been all day.
They just did new features again, like yesterday or the day before, so it's extra.
And they're dealing with.
Well, ask the dude for me.
Is the new guy talking right now?
Yeah, I'm talking.
Can you see
now.
Rocky?
Ask the dude for me.
Yeah, I just see his face loading.
I'll translate. Go ahead, Rocky.
Genesis 3:15. It talks about
Genesis
the Passover Lamb of God. Who's the Lamb of God?
Who is the Lamb of God reference in Genesis?
3:15.
3:15.
Where's the 3:15?
Yes, Genesis 3:15, the Lamb of God.
Okay. All right, let's check it out.
And then I have a question for you, Rabbi Israel, after this one. I want you to tell me where in the Torah is the word Messiah or Mashiach mentioned in the Torah. Where did Moses say Messiah?
Yeah, nowhere. The only time messiahs are talked about is when they anoint the priests with oil and they anoint the tabernacle with oil. So Messiah means to anoint. But Exodus 3:15 doesn't talk about the Lamb of God. It talks about the fact that God is giving the offspring of the woman the ability to stomp the head of the snake. For some reason, that's understood to refer only to the Messiah. But if you actually understand the concept of offspring refers to the offspring of the woman. We're all offspring of the woman. So I read that as God actually giving humanity the ability to stomp the head of the snake, which is very much in the same vein of God telling Cain, you can rule over sin. You know, that's a necessity. As humanity, we need to have the ability to rule over sin and stomp the head of the snake. Otherwise, we have no hope.
Yeah, they're right. Yeah, it was foretold. That was Jesus foretelling his death. He would, the woman's birth would. Okay. Anyway, Leviticus is talking about
can you hear him, Israel?
I can't hear him. Should I log out and log back in?
No.
I think
somebody asked
I think
him
it's hold on, Rocky,
Lamb.
please. Thank you. I would try to adjust your settings again because it worked last time, right? So I would just adjust your headphone settings and switch it back. Like just change it to one thing, change it to the other.
Yeah, that fix has been working every time somebody comes out for me.
You're just changing your audio too, or your head, like where it's coming out of. That's so weird. And as a kind reminder, while he's fixing that, and it's okay. I feel like tonight's just a weird tech night. But backstage, I've got Mark, Azrael, Ash, Vibe, and Powder Dusty all hanging out very patiently. Powder Dusty is waiting for his resurrection. If any of you want to resurrect any of the 5 backstage, that's fine. But you got to, send off anybody that's on screen. So the choice is yours on who you want to boot. And the choice is yours is who you want to bring up. Otherwise, we just go in line. So there you go.
Give us a test, Rocky.
Hear me now?
Andrew, in the Christian eschatology, isn't the Antichrist supposed to be able to do feats and miracles such as like resurrect and do a lot of miracles?
Yeah, the Antichrist will deceive by
false miracles.
By false miracles.
The illusion of miracles, right? The deceiver.
Yeah.
Like in Islam, they say the same thing. They say the Antichrist will be able to give the appearance
That's not
of
in the Torah. We're talking about the Torah.
But I want to hear the question.
I was hold on.
Can you hear Rocky now?
No, I didn't hear him.
Not you. Hold on, Omar. Israel, Rocky, go ahead and say something. Israel, can you hear him?
Can you hear me now?
Go ahead.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I'm guessing that's a no, Rocky.
Negatory.
Starting to sound
I actually do know what he's going to ask. He's going to ask about Exodus. He's going to ask about the lamb, the Passover. He's going to ask about that specifically and what that references. That's what he meant to reference.
In the Torah did they sacrifice a lamb? What does that represent? Okay, we know in the garden it's representing Christ through the virgin birth crushing the serpent.
Right, the enmity.
But there's also in the Torah someone is going to come and die as a lamb. Jesus was the lamb on the
I got you, Rocky. So he's referencing the lamb. In fact, when you actually look at the law and the sacrifices required, there's animal sacrifices, so on and so forth. The lamb was pure and all that, and then they spread the lamb's blood over the doors. And so how do you square that versus what would ultimately be the ultimate sacrifice, a perfect man for a perfect man? Hopefully you heard it.
Israel, can you hear everyone?
Mic check.
He can't hear nobody.
We can't hear him.
Uh-oh. Israel, why don't you jump out and back in? Maybe that'll help. Actually, I guess I should write that. You can't hear me, Israel? Okay, he already figured it out.
That's one for the Christians.
While he's on his way back in, Michael has sacrificed Ant to the back, and Dusty has risen. He is resurrected. And Michael also sends in the big 5, says, Happy Thursday to this beautiful, chaotic, all-thing meeting. Thank you so kindly, Michael. And as a kind reminder to everyone in the chat, hold tight. Metaphysics Mike, I'm gonna have to boot you out of the stage because I need that spot for Israel to come back in. So nobody else click the link, nobody else try to come in. I need Israel to come in only. Dashed in, what did I literally just say? Get out of the backstage. I need that seat for Israel. He's probably there. He is, thank God.
I think some people like to get yelled at. That's what it is.
I think they just don't listen with their ears or something.
No, Omar's onto something. They definitely like the Dami Mommy vibes.
Yeah. They like to get yelled at publicly so they can like, oh, it's like being on stage.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Go ahead,
All right. Can you hear?
Can you
Let's
see
see.
me?
Rocky says, yeah, we can see you. We can hear you. We got everything from you. Rocky, why don't you
It's funny,
talk and see
I
if
don't see
Israel.
myself. That's the only thing. But
Can you hear me now?
it's fine, honestly.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Rocky.
I'm
Okay.
Rocky.
Thank the Lord.
Nice to meet you.
Two gangsters.
I have a question.
Thank the Lord
You say
indeed.
you only believe in the Torah, and so that's the first 5 books. But I'm asking, okay, in Genesis 3:15, it talks of a serpent that head will be crushed, and okay, and then in Leviticus, it talks about a Passover lamb, and so during the Passover, they had to put the blood in the over on the doorpost for so they could pass over, and a lamb had to be sacrificed. So there's a ritual in the Torah that they're waiting for a unblemished lamb. Could you can you see?
Yeah, of course. I can clarify that for you. So
that's waiting for a person to come.
No, absolutely not. I mean, that's not actually what's going on. It's contextually historically a event that happened when the Israelites were leaving Egypt. God commanded them to sacrifice a lamb before they left Egypt, and then he commanded them to sacrifice it throughout all time, so long as the temple stands. That's the Torah's definition of the Passover lamb. The idea that that's somehow referring to Jesus is a later Christian innovation to say that, oh, that's referring to Jesus. But if you look at it contextually in Exodus, there's no mention of a man. It's a mention of a lamb, and it's not saying that we're waiting for a man to come be the ultimate lamb. That's a metaphorical idea. I'm not saying the idea is asinine. I'm just saying that's not actually what the Torah is saying.
Oh, okay. I don't think I can deal with this guy. He's got a shallow understanding of the Torah. Even he can't even understand. So
we're just talking about the history here.
The history.
The history is that when the Israelites were leaving Egypt, God told them to sacrifice a lamb. Do you see anything about a man or about Jesus there?
Okay, the Old Testament, the Torah, in the Genesis, it talks about a serpent's head will be crushed by the seed of the woman, right? So that's the virgin birth. You can't see that connection. I don't understand.
Well, I can see the connection that you're making, but
there's
it's not
something that's supposed to look forward to a Messiah. You can't even see that there's a Messiah being talked about in the Torah, and you say you're just a Torah believer, but you don't even believe the Torah because it's talking about unblemished lamb coming to be sacrificed.
You know, the lamb is a Passover sacrifice that we're supposed to eat, and then the serpent is a entity in existence that mankind has a struggle with, and God is saying that although the serpent will strike at our heel, he gives us the ability to crush its head, and the offspring of the woman refers to all of humanity.
Do you keep the sacrifices then? Do you still sacrifice the lamb?
I do not, because it says in Deuteronomy 16 that you can only sacrifice when you have a temple, an active temple. And we don't have an active temple because we don't have an active priesthood. We don't have a land that's Torah observant. We don't have prophecy of God. So the temple is pretty much obsolete at the moment. And all of the sacrifices in the Torah are contingent on the temple existing. So because there's no temple and no priesthood, we don't do any of the animal sacrifices.
So are you waiting for a third temple to be built?
Hold on, Rocky. Are you saying that God is without priesthood at this point then?
I mean, yeah, there's no Levitical priesthood. You know, there may be people that are called to be leaders, spiritual leaders, but the Levitical priesthood is obsolete. We don't know, because the Levitical priesthood is based off of descendants. It says like the sons of Aaron, you know. So unless we have explicit knowledge who the sons of Aaron are, also they don't have a function. The Levites are supposed to govern the temple and all the sacrifices, and the priesthood is supposed to be involved with that. I do think there is still a need for spiritual leaders at this time. Of course, it just doesn't function like the Levitical priesthood in the Torah.
Very good. Okay, so then I have to ask, what would be, and forgive me if I'm being broad on this, guys, what would be the whole point of the law?
Well, I think the whole point of the law is summed up in Deuteronomy 30 that says the point of the law is to return to God with your heart and your soul, along with your children. So God wants us to engage in life. He wants us to procreate. He wants men and women to come together. And he wants us, before we get to any externalized temple, he wants us to perfect the temple within, which is something Jesus taught as well, to return to him heart and soul.
Very good. I like that. So if it is the case that we must return to God, that means we are not with God. Correct? That's a given. So
yeah. I mean, it says in Deuteronomy 31 that God has concealed his face from us.
And so why is it specifically that we are not with God, according to the scriptures?
Due to our sin.
Sin. And what's the other part?
Rebellion, no. Idolatry.
Death.
You tell me.
Sin and death. Through one man, sin.
No, death would have nothing to do with it. No, death you would return to God.
We still die.
Well, Omar, actually, in the Torah, death is described as bad. You can look at Deuteronomy 30. God says, "I placed before you the life and the good, and the evil and the death, and you should choose life." So even after a Garden of Eden position, we're still commanded to choose life. We're commanded to choose life each and every day. You know, we talked about 80 million abortions. That's certainly not people choosing life, just as an example. And there's so many examples of people, birth control, these things, like people choosing to go against life. And the Torah is absolutely pro-life in every capacity. And but the point is that eternal life is the question that Christianity is concerned with. And I understand.
I got
What's
a
that?
question. I haven't
Except for the bitter drink, right?
Can I finish some of my questioning?
Yeah, the bitter drink for sure with the woman suspected.
Hold on, guys. You guys are talking about the Adam and Eve and eating the forbidden fruit. They chose death by default. I understand that eating from that fruit, but death is a natural process of life since that moment. So no one's choosing death. When you materialize from coming through the womb of your mother, you will return back to where you came from. So choosing death,
of course.
No, sir. No, that is not the Torah. No, that is not the Torah.
Are you still
Rocky, hold on. Death is a punishment. It is a. I know that, Rocky.
Yeah.
Death is a punishment. It was something that was not meant to be, meaning it is not natural. It was something that God changed about
as a punishment because of the fruit.
But that's still I think Omar's point is that's still the state of the earth, right? Like we're still under that. Even Christians who believe in Jesus still
we're not
die,
choosing
right? So
death by being born. It's a default process from the sins. I don't believe in that, but from the sins of our forefather and foremother Adam and Eve, proverbially.
Well, God says, "You are dust, and to dust you shall return." Right? That is the state of mankind until the foreseeable future. The closer we get to God and the more we choose life, you never know where that leads in the future. But again,
how do we return to the natural state?
My question is, are you
by following God's commandments?
And what is his commandments? To make sacrifices, correct?
As written in the 5 books of Moses. Yeah, but part of those commandments are you cannot make sacrifices outside of the temple, at least animal sacrifices. I mean, you can make sacrifices in your life. I mean, you choosing to give up something that's meaningful to you for something that's even greater and God wants you to do. We make sacrifices every day for the things that we value.
So
as far as the
within the law, you can find direct correlations to the later prophecies, which directly correlate to Jesus being man for man, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. This is what the whole point of the law is to balance everything. That's the whole point, is it's his justice, his will. So, I understand what you're saying. Yes, go by the Torah. But if you go by the Torah, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, life for a life, the sin and death brought into the world by one man must be balanced by what?
I mean, again, by justice and eye for an eye.
These leading questions are so obnoxious, Clay. Just say your fucking thing.
Well, that's not the way it works, Dusty. This is why you don't believe. This is why you don't believe, because it's not the way it works.
I don't believe because God gave me logic. God gave me experience. What God didn't give me is a book. The book every single one on this panel got from a person. So I don't know why you would ignore. What, except for maybe Balderson, would ignore what God gave you in favor of what a man gave you. Riddle me that,
Well,
Clay.
did you read?
Why would
did
you do that,
read
Clay?
in a
What-
book, Flo?
Why would I,
I
do
mean,
that? Because it is something that
but-
he gave us.
Yeah, I
What-
mean, your own
you
consciousness
deny
though
it.
is
Who introduced you to the Bible, Clay? Did God give you the Bible?
He gave us everything in life, my man.
I mean, your own consciousness. When you say God gives you things, it's being filtered through your own human lens. So you trust your judgment over a revelation that's been written down for thousands of years, but ultimately, everything that we perceive as human beings is filtered through the human lens. So it just is a question of whether God actually revealed these things thousands of years ago. And I think there's a compelling case historically and logically and spiritually to say that it's by definition necessary for humanity to have these clarifications.
If we had to guess, there's probably been tens of thousands of religions, maybe hundreds of thousands throughout all of human history, and you believe all of them are wrong, right? Except for yours.
I don't believe they're wrong.
You'd acknowledge up front that religion generally, not yours of course, but everyone else's, is a good way for charlatans to get money and power over other people.
To a degree, I don't think that one second. I don't think that the existence of religion and mankind trying to connect to God and to the spiritual existence is all a con. I definitely think that religion itself is a journey to God. I just think that there are more viable and more legitimate religions and less legitimate ones. And I happen to think that the Torah is extremely understandable and very reliable in its view of reality. And the picture of reality presented in the Torah is identical to the one that I see. And it's actually giving me the tools in order to propel myself forward in this world, which is a good test for how you know something's good and true.
You see talking snakes?
So you talking about the Torah? You mean in the first?
I don't see
books?
talking snakes.
You don't even believe in Isaiah or Ezekiel.
You're not going based off of what you see in reality from the Torah. It's not actually correct.
Well,
so your God is Moses.
No, my God is Yahweh. And I definitely believe that Isaiah and these people were great people, but the standard of the religion that was set up in the 5 books of Moses is that no one afterwards can contradict what was established in the 5 books of Moses by God, not by Moses. Moses was simply a tool that God used to write this down. Now, as far as you're saying about talking snakes, well, talking snakes definitely
so
exist.
Isaiah
Maybe
was
not
a
like
liar. Ezekiel was a liar. All those
Yes,
Old
Rocky.
Testaments.
Yes, Rocky.
Well,
yes,
then you
Pop.
what you're saying. He was answering.
I mean, they weren't liars. Also, we don't necessarily know whether they wrote those books. But they could be, especially if they're contradicting the 5 books
But
of Moses.
you don't know if Isaiah wrote the book of Isaiah. But
And they
you
were
know
stinky too, Rocky.
Moses
They
wrote
smelled.
all the books of the Torah, because you can go back further in history and you can
He
rely
saw it
on
with his
the
own
name
fucking
of
eyes.
Moses.
He saw it with his own fucking eyes.
Except any
Who
of the
did?
other
I did
books
not
of
see it with my own
Ezekiel,
eyes.
New
Oh,
Testament.
he's talking about Isaiah.
Well, again,
Well, then how the fuck
I'll
do
tell
you
you-
know
well-
it's true? You're
Well,
muted,
look,
Sarah.
While Rocky
Yeah.
is
Isaiah-
rambling on, I'm going to use this as a kind reminder. Backstage, I've got Mark, which is a new person here. Don't know him. The Ezrael, of course, our Force Doctrine, right-leaning Christian. Ash, who was here earlier, he's dying to get back up. And then, of course, Vibe, who his computer overheated, so he's waiting to get back up. And, of course, Ant got booted back there, so he's patiently waiting as well. Please feel free to boot any panel squatters or whatever, or you just don't like the way somebody looks. But if you want a panel shakeup, you want to have some more fun, please feel free to send in that $10 dono. Also, you have 33 minutes and 33 seconds to send in those donos, or else this panel ends anyways. Mama Tomato is in chat. She says she is ready to boot. So, Mama, feel free to text me. I know you got some leftover tokens from Toasty to boot away. So feel free to do so at your discretion. Okay, back to you guys.
If I could just point out that Isaiah himself was relying on the Torah for his authority, the same way Jesus was relying on the Torah. So everyone that comes after the Torah is relying on the Torah. So by definition, this entire religion is based off of the Torah, and the Torah was written in. The claim is that it was written by Moses himself in the presence of the entire nation. That claim is not made about any of the other books. So apparently it's not such an easy claim to make. In addition to that, when you talk about, do I see talking snakes? Well, not necessarily little slithering snakes talking, but the concept is very relatable. You know, there are people that are talking snakes. There are voices in your head that could be talking snakes. The snake is the voice that is slithering, poisonous, sneaky, telling you to do the thing that is going to be self-harming and self-destructing in opposition to God. That's what the snake is. And so when you understand that that's what the snake is, you can definitely admit that that's an accurate picture of reality.
The snake is the reptilian brain.
Literally. Sometimes you do take it. Let me follow up with him. Sometimes you don't take the text literally, and sometimes you do take it literally. That's.
No, I think that. No, I believe that literally happened. Just because I'm not witnessing God. Yeah, why not? I just think that. Yeah, but again, God is not splitting seas right now either. So the reality is not.
Good reason not to believe that. I would think.
Well, just because the world looks one way right now, it doesn't mean that's how it's always looked, right? You're basically saying whatever I've experienced in my tiny frame in the past 30, 40 years of my life, that sums up all of existence and its possibilities.
No,
I think that's a literal view.
Something that's contrary to somebody's claim, it would be wise to go with your experience instead of the person's claim.
And you did say you see everything in the Torah in reality today. You did say that.
Mm-hmm.
You said,
of course. Rocky, are you trying to get some talking time out? Is that what your 20s for, sir? I know usually you just pay to be able to talk.
No. I would like to kick Flo and the shaman.
You cannot do the shaman. The shaman is on immunity status because if it weren't for him, the rabbi would not be here. He made this connection, so I granted him immunity for the night. But you can pick someone else. Who else would you like to pick?
Actually, Sarah, it's spring break with my daughters, so I'm going to leave. As much as I was about to get this thing warmed up here, I want to say thank you all. Thank you, Sarah, again, Rabbi Israel. And everybody, good to see you, Clay, and all this in Spin City. It was a great experience with you this time. Good to see you.
We yell at each other.
Yeah, I just haven't called you shaman of your own fucking tribe. There. Now it's
as if that would be an insult.
Go back to your country, anchor baby.
Okay, I have a question, Rabbi. I have one question for you. If Jesus were to, it's don't worry, you won't get it because he's afraid.
Did you actually think you were going to come in here and get away without me fucking with you? Did you honestly think that was going to happen?
He's our resident DEI gay guy here.
We need a speed date. Fucking good.
Sarah gets tax deductions by keeping one guy who calls him the DEI and he checks 2 boxes. He's both gay and retarded.
Listen, I have not come at this Jew yet, so I've been reserved.
He's still talking about me, by the way. Anyway, Rabbi Israel.
Let's wear it, fuckhead.
Hey, Spin. When Jesus comes back, he's going to look at me familiar and he's going to be like, who the fuck is that guy? And where part of the world did he come from?
It says the 2 guys that God's sons down here to fuck women. How
oh my God.
He's from North Carolina. You know, he's mad. He said, fuck women. He got angry because he doesn't like that. Anyway, good to see you, Spin. Stay gay, buddy. Everybody else. Rocky, Sarah, thank you. Hey, I'll move out of the way for Ash and Azrael. Rabbi Israel.
God bless.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks so much.
Bye, Shaman. Thank you again. We appreciate you.
Can I ask a quick question, Israel?
So,
do you believe that the year 5787 is the final day that temple can be established? Is that a belief of yours that you share with one of the leading rabbis of all time?
No. I think the rabbis are making things up as they breathe. Do you hear me?
He said he thinks the rabbis are making things up.
No. You got frozen.
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
I would like.
Did we get frozen again? Can you hear me?
I can hear you as well.
Fine. It's you're the one that can't hear, I think.
You can't hear
it's something. Are you using Google Chrome by chance?
No. Safari.
Oh, there it is.
That's probably why.
Use Google Chrome when you use StreamYard.
Yeah, jump out. Go ahead and pull up a Google Chrome browser and just I'll plug the link backstage again if you want to just
got it, mate. Got it.
Grab that one. Nobody jump backstage. It's full back there. I need a spot for Israel to jump back there. Nobody else jump up there, please. All right. Also to the screen, I've got Mark and Azrael. Metaphysics Mike, you got to learn to listen. Listen, I love that you're jumping back here, but I have to save that spot. Yeah, I have to save that spot for Azrael's up here. Israel to jump in. So Metaphysics Mike, you're going to have to wait. I've got a full house back there, and I need that seat open for our main feature, right? I can't not let him back.
I wonder
if did he start to answer that question, Sarah?
I don't know. I have like 10 million things going on right now.
He said that he thinks they make that shit up. That the rap.
He has said that. He has said that it's gone too far, essentially, that you're basically reading.
My question is, if he goes by the Torah, why don't he just pitch a tent and he could have his third temple? And then
Speaking of pitching tents, Dusty says, send Rocky to the lake of fire and resurrect me. Yes, Rocky to the back, sir. And Dusty, that's a $10 credit. I don't know if you want to utilize that for something else because it only.
Well, Rocky dropped 20 and then only kicked me, so I figured he's probably going to use it to try to reverse Uno. So let's just cancel out Rocky's.
Oh, I used the other one as kicking Shaman since he was okay with leaving.
Okay, well then give me.
You want to hold that? You want to hold that 10?
Hold on to it.
Okay. All right, Israel, can you hear everyone? I hope.
Actually, tell Brick to go find some statements and stop asking leading questions. Get out of here, motherfucker.
All right, Bricky to the back. We do love you, Bricky, baby. We do. All right, and I got Vibe. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. Ash was next in line, and then Vibe. All right, I think we got everyone here. Israel, it looks like your camera's just taking a second to come into speed.
Does anyone mind if my phone's literally going to die in a couple minutes? If I can ask Israel a question following up on something that Webby had asked earlier.
Sure. I don't know if he's with us yet. It looks like it's Israel. Can you hear us?
Looks like it got worse.
Oh, no. That might be his camera. It's like a weird tech night, is it not? I mean, I feel like the show has been nothing but held up with just tech issues all night.
Not for me, God's beloved.
It happened. It happened to me for about 30 minutes on Pilled. I was on a fucking panel, and it just would not do shit for me.
That sucks. All right,
where did Webby go? I was going to ask him something.
Webby's he always has web issues. That's why it's funny his name is Webby. Let's see who got booted back. We got Ant back there. Dusty came up. Is Rock E still back there? No, he left. So we've got Ant 5, and then we got Clay and Dashton. Dear Lord, Dashton. Okay.
Is Sarah's cam pixelating for anybody else, or is it just me?
It's just you, bud.
You're just the weird one. All right, Webby's back.
No, her cam is glitching pretty hard for me too. So is her brain.
Israel, are you with us? You try this.
Maybe he needs to update his Chrome.
It's like being at my grandparents' house trying to work out how to use the TV for them.
He said he can hear us in the private chat.
He can hear us. Okay, if you're talking, we cannot hear you.
He should just come back in on his Safari. It's probably better that way.
Yeah, maybe try back in the other way. I don't know. Is your stuff connected? Like, do you have the right mic settings? Make sure you have, because usually Google will say at the top, like, allow these devices to be used on Google. You have to make sure you hit yes. And then when you're in StreamYard, the little wheel at the bottom should have your audio and camera settings. Make sure you have the right settings in.
Maybe he should do both. He can talk to us from Safari and listen from Chrome.
Can I ask Webby, are you Catholic? No? You're Christian though, right?
Yes, sir.
I was about to say, because my phone's gonna die, so you guys can repeat it to him, I guess, if my phone dies. But I was gonna say, old habits seem to die hard. I'm also a former Orthodox Jew. I'm now Catholic. The Birkat Haminim, the blessing against the heretics, is most certainly instituted directly against Christians very, very early on. There's no doubt about that. I don't know why he would deny that, because he doesn't accept the rabbinic tradition anyways. Not that people should think that Jews have like a particular issue. Oh, I was going to say, Israel, it seems like old habits die hard, man.
We got you.
How so?
Because Birkat Haminim is, I've been through this with the Jesus and the Talmud stuff recently with people. Like, no, that's not the same Jesus. Well, who else would the shit it be? It's obviously talking about Jesus of Nazareth. Even if the rabbis of the 4th century, 5th century get the details wrong or misunderstand Christian theology, it doesn't mean they're not talking about Jesus. They're obviously talking about Jesus. Same thing, I don't know why you would say that Birkat Haminim is generally against heretics. It was specifically instituted to drive heretics, Christians, out of Jewish synagogues and institutions and communities. That's what it was instituted for. So I don't know if you're not aware of that, or if it was.
I was not aware that it was establised. No. I mean, nothing I'm going to do is going to stop anti-Semitism. No, honestly, I just did not know about that historical fact.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is, though, like, people need to understand, most Jews know about as much about their own history as a duck-billed platypus knows about its history. So, like, Jews don't get anything about where their own religious ideas come from, or how they developed, or the history of how they developed, at all. Like, something to be aware of there. But those things are, like, that's why I tell fellow Jews, number one, become Catholic. But number two, if you're going to stay in Orthodox Judaism, at least stop defending some of the crazy shit people have said in the Jewish community over the years. Like you can just say they're wrong.
I think that was my point. That was my point when you did the translation. Yeah, but you purposely left out the heretic part and tried to use something more favorable.
Not at all. Not at all. I'm not trying to leave anything. I'm just saying that they don't reference Christians outright, and I was not aware of the fact that Ash is saying that they instituted. Yeah, they don't say like end the Christians. They say the heretics, which is a broad term for even people like myself, as I said. But Ash is saying that historically they instituted that blessing against Christians, so that changes things, obviously. But the thing is, Ash, they couldn't possibly condemn the rabbis because then they wouldn't be Orthodox. So it's
correct.
The catch-22 there.
No, but they could say we love our traditions and we want to keep these things. We think this. I've met many modern Orthodox people that say, "Hey, we believe this is the best explanations on how to keep the Torah. These are traditions that have passed down, so this is the way we're going to do it." You can do that without affirming like Ruach HaKodesh inspiring the rabbis to what they're saying. You can just say, "Hey, we think that this is the closest we can get." I know a lot of people that say that.
Which takes me back. Which takes me back to my question before. Israel is around the year 5787 is obviously huge and pushed from the very top rabbis as the last day for the temple to be made, right? Which is, funnily enough, October next year, and with everything that's not at all biblical. At the moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense that the rabbis would try to drive apocalyptic events. I mean, I think in general, people who are trying to push for the apocalypse have some issues, to say the least. But yeah, the Bible never gives a date on any of these things.
Well, modern rabbis have turned the Messiah into like a tech oligarch who's going to like control the world through AI and download Torah into your brains to fulfill biblical prophecy. So I think we've gotten a little bit out of hand there. So I say to my fellow Jews, whoever, I think we know which community is diminishing the God of Israel and which one isn't. Because if you have to chalk up biblical prophecy to AI downloading Torah into your brains, and you have to eat flying on,
you don't believe in God.
El Al Airlines is going to fly you to Israel. That's I think we've gone a little bit far. So
yeah, I mean that's faithless by definition. Or to Yahweh.
So Israel, I wanted to ask you, the only prophet to exist that can write and interpret or dispense the word of God would be Moses in your book?
Well, it's really just in our book that we share that the foundation of the faith is the 5 books of Moses, and Moses is writing by the hand of God, saying you cannot add or subtract to these commandments. So that's setting the stage for the religion to develop, that it's not going to involve abolishing the Torah or introducing faith claims that are not Torah based.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's trying to abolish or diminish the Torah in Christianity. It's the foundation of our beliefs. We derive everything that we believe from Jesus, from the Torah and the preceding books up until the New Testament and then into the New Testament. But my question is you kind of deny all the books after the Torah. What makes the Torah so special? What makes Moses as a prophet so special that was the last individual to actually write anything that was inspired or divinely ordained by God, opposed to all the later books, which is far numerous and far more detailed and build upon and expound upon the original?
Right. Well, first of all, what makes him special is that he comes first. Second of all, what makes him special about the nature of his prophecy.
Who comes first?
Again,
Moses coming first doesn't make anything more special. I mean, David was a man after God's own heart. So if you want to go up anything, David would be far more special than Moses. You're more so like
we're talking about
your
the biblical faith. We're talking about God. No, because we're talking about the biblical faith, and the biblical faith is founded in the Torah. So if we're starting from the beginning, the Torah is setting the standard and saying anything that follows this cannot contradict it in any way. No one could add a commandment. No one can tell you that God is someone other than the one revealed in these 5 books.
So isn't it what he's kind of saying is, I mean, I really respected in your original opening.
I'll read to you what it says in Numbers. It says that Moses was a unique prophet. God says he sees God clearly, not in a vision, not in a riddle. But
Wrong mic 5.
Moses saw.
Well, nobody.
Numbers is perfect, right? So like Numbers is like perfect.
All right, so Moses saw God directly and communicated with him directly. His prophecy was on a different level than other prophets.
Very untrue. Definitely not that of Jesus.
So does God ever change his mind in the Old Testament?
In
the Torah,
possibly,
does God ever change his mind?
Not to him.
He definitely.
I'm asking the rabbi.
Probably. You literally have 5 books that you believe in. I believe in 66 books, and off the top, I can tell you that God changes his mind in the Torah. Like you got 5 books, bro.
Right, but does Israel believe that? Does God change his mind?
The only. I mean, again, not after the Torah is the final word. That's the whole point. Within the Torah, there's a slight shift that comes to mind when God first says.
Doesn't it say in Deuteronomy that Moses says another prophet will come that's like me?
I want to ask a question.
Others, him shall you heed.
Before anybody asks another question, Michael with a big 5 says snakes. And I apologize, Michael, I missed this. Snakes are just living out their telos. Why you got to do them dirty? Because they got no limbs. Poor snakes. No mercy here. And speaking of donos, chat, you are currently sitting at 3 out of 10 on your dono goal, and you have approximately 13 minutes left to do it. Here in approximately 3 minutes, if you don't start pushing in, I'm going to make the panel do a grift break for all of you, and we're going to stop this amazing content and conversation going. So you know what to do. You know how to fix it. Don't make me do what I got to do. Back to you. I apologize.
It just seems like you're cherry picking when you want to believe something and when you don't. Because if God changes his mind, it seems like you're putting God in a box and saying he can't do this. He can't change anything.
Well, I mean,
like God can do whatever
God
he
established,
wants.
Of course, but God established that he completed the law and that he is one God and that we shouldn't change anything about that. So if that's, and he said anyone who comes later on, even if he's a prophet and even if he performs miracles, but contradicts this original revelation, you should not listen to him. And that's false.
That he changes his mind. He's not.
Where does he change his mind?
He changes his mind about Sodom and Gomorrah, right? He changes his mind about the flood.
Abraham.
They don't,
at first
they don't believe that.
And
The first 5 books of the Bible are the only thing that they believe. And this says the man that thinks that God sent his son down here to have sex with women.
So
this is the man that thinks that God is a horny Zeus. You're never going to get through to him.
God didn't send them. They came against God's will, and God viewed that as a sin. And again, there are even interpretations that those are not literal sons of God, but powerful human beings, because the word for God refers to powerful beings. So it's possible they weren't literal divine beings, but God didn't send them. God actually was upset about that, and he shortened the human lifespan according to the text.
Yeah, I just don't understand why this one thing has to be like infallible. Like this one passage that you have, like this can't change. Like this one part, even for me, I'll make a concession. Like even as a Catholic, when Jesus says the only way is through me, right? I often push back on my own religion and say, well, it doesn't say like even that you have to accept him while you're alive. Why can't Jesus come to you after you die and say, accept me, this is the truth, you were a good person your whole life? So I'm not going to put God in a box, but it seems like I think God can do whatever he wants, but it seems like you don't think that. You think God is restricted by these rules set in the first 5 books of the Torah for some reason.
God is not restricted. We're restricted. We're restricted by the rules that God put on us, saying you need to follow these rules if you want to be righteous and you want to live and you want to be blessed. That's exactly what it says. So we're under the law and we have to follow it.
A lot of people who are atheists are blessed a lot more than us, bro.
This doesn't
disprove. Hold on. I want to... and I want you to chime in on that, Azrael, because I'd like to know why. But in the meantime, the chat is doing what it needs to do best. Texas Bully Mom sending in the Big Ten says 6 more. Yes, and 6 more actually just turned to 5 more because Fourth Wiseman came in with the Big Ten, and he says God doesn't change his mind. God is conscious beyond anything that anything or anyone can describe. Your cults are brainwashing machines on fast spin cycle. The paradigm is broken. Wakey. Would anyone like to chime in on that night? It looks like Israel's got booted somehow. So we'll wait for him to come back in. Yeah, go ahead.
He's absolutely right. God does not change his mind. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. But he does change his direction. He does change his imperative and his narrative for us. We can look at the Old Testament where slavery was condoned at one point, but it was slowly more and more restricted as time went on, even to today where Christians led the abolition of slavery through the Western expansion. So he doesn't change his mind. He's always the same, but
Genesis 6:6. And the Lord regretted that he had made man on the earth.
And more Christian cope.
And why would God change direction or whatever? Like, he already knows the direction he needs to go into. He's all knowing.
So I don't know if any of you guys do programming. So when you're programming things or when you're expounding upon something, just in general, you have to do stuff in a certain way until the code expands. And then there's more knowledge and you have to operate with the code on a bigger level. So it's not that he's changing his mind. It's that we're changing and evolving as individuals. We were not as knowledgeable and more rudimentary. Even 100, 200 years ago, we didn't have a vast knowledge of God, of Christianity, of the Bible. Even further that to the point
Hold on.
Not be widely distributed in a language that people could understand. So the world changes and then God changes after
God,
but he doesn't change.
Sarah, I've reached my 3-hour mark.
Sure. Everybody else shut up.
Sarah, I've reached my 3-hour mark. I really appreciate the opportunity. It's been a blessing.
Absolutely.
I pray that we all come together in peace, and I pray God, whoever he is, awakens us and brings us unity in him. So God bless and have a wonderful night.
Yes, thank you so much, Israel. We appreciate having you.
Okay.
We look forward to more.
All the best, everyone.
And while he's making his exit, Michael came into Big Five, says, I don't know, I can describe it quite a bit. Maybe, possibly. And Iotin sent in the big 10 and says, still here. Thank you for the conversation, everyone. Yes, thank you so kindly to everyone hanging out and doing your thing. You've got 7 minutes left, or else we just end it all. Do you want me to disconnect on my end for you, Israel?
Yeah, I'm trying to remove to end my stream, but it's not really.
I can do it. I got you.
You can end my stream for me?
Yep. If you're watching over on
so much.
Israel's side and you'd like to continue hanging out with us, we are over at The Gauntlet. That is at The Gauntlet Debate. We will continue into total madness and, absolute stupidity. So we appreciate you. Let's see. What is this doing? Whose is this? What is this? What's messing up here? I don't know what happened there. All right. And backstage up next, I've got Dashton, of course. Good luck to all of you. Dashton, I don't know.
Dashton, I want you to remember I was always nice to you.
To Jesus is
Lord have mercy. All right, we're going to let Dashton have their quick music break while everyone... Dashton, I'd like you to make a grift song. They need 3 more super chats to get in the door. I'd like you to make your song about grifting and tell them to do what they need to do. You were just playing. What happened?
Hold on. Hold on. All right. I'm trying to tell you my testimony. This is how I saw Jesus, and you can too. All you need to do is be sensitive to the energies that we all have, the light, and just focus with your mind to see visions through each other, and then you can see what comes through. And once the spirits find out that they can talk through you,
I will
they'll start
continue
talking
torturing
to you,
all of you.
and you can hear them and listen. And then you can actually contact Jesus. He actually can come to that encounter through other people's light. And if he wants to talk to you, in your life, then you can feel something by him or something, and you didn't feel him.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will continue to torture you with this. Keep going, Ashton. Keep going.
Yes, another.
Anyways, I do see spirits.
Do you know any Johnny Cash?
Can you introduce us to your voodoo dolls?
I know it looks like, and if you want to too, you could do the same thing and practice.
I don't know if you know this. That rotten hand can actually press those strings in and create different tones.
You can see them too with your own senses.
Where are my spoons at?
And it's like a Helen Keller language. Spirit. And if you can, then just get somebody else to do it. If you're not going to try to practice, then I'll do it anyways. Yeah. But anyways, I'm just telling you, you can see Jesus. He can encounter whoever he feels like or whatever. But okay, all you do is go up to strangers and you sense their presence and you say what you see with your mind and it shows you. And then if they say yes or no, then you're on a roll. If they're saying yes a lot, have recordings and evidence of doing that. And that's how you do it with your mind and senses. Like you just want to get your life to everybody.
You think that maybe they just kept saying
answering prayers. You're a parent. If you're
Let's try it this way. Okay, who was next in line? Let's see. Dashton and then Rocky. I also have Admiral Gibbs hanging out backstage, ready to join, and he's ready to fuck shit up. You know the drill. In the meantime, we're going to continue to do our grift break. Powder Dusty, the younger Rocky, you do this very well. Could you kindly inform the chat what they need to do? They have 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm younger Rocky. Just send in some money. Hurry up and do it. You know you're going to do it. Just get it over with. I'm tired of waiting for you fuckers. And we don't want to listen to Dashton strum his guitar anymore. You could be one of those voodoo dolls. There we go. Texas Bully Mom. brought up 10. Although that one goes to Dashton.
Azrael, we've got less than 3 minutes, and we only need 2 more. Tell them what they need to do.
You got to come up off some money.
Or else he's going to use that noose behind him. So,
hey, that's an internet cable from my.
That's what I would say too if I were you.
Internet cable.
Don't let Azrael get the news. Spin, you're muted, but tell them what to do. You need what? 2 more? 2 more.
2 more. We need $20 for me to destroy the vampire strumming slayer over there. Okay. I've been waiting all fucking night to destroy him with my kind words. My kind words. So get the 20 in. Let's get it done.
Run them pockets.
Yes.
Oh,
maybe you should donate some money. Maybe
donate some freaking money.
Donate.
There it is.
Oh, he knew that Balderson was coming up and he couldn't withstand. But Balderson, you could still tell them anything you want to tell them.
Tell us about the alpaca.
That when he said we need 20, that is for the Narcan, because we're kind of afraid that Dash is going to fucking fall out any moment. So have it out with him. We need that guy to still be here.
Fair enough. And of course, per every night, because Fourth Wiseman saves all of your asses as usual. This is officially Fourth Wiseman's channel now, bitches. All right, and let me read them. Fourth Wiseman came in with the first 10. He says, Azrael, stop the babble. You sound more ridiculous the more you orate, parroting what you're washed with hypocrisy. What say you, Azrael?
Nah.
Texas Bully Mom says, Dashton, you need to dash right off. Bring up Admiral Gibbs. All right, Dashton to the back, Admiral Gibbs to the front. Thank you so kindly, Texas Bully Mom. Dashton, you've done a kind service to this panel, sir. Fourth Wiseman came in with the big red, my favorite color, up on the screen. So, of course, the chat is lighting it up with tomatoes just in time. Says, gold done, plus 70 for furthermore. Make up the $30 balance, everyone, or I buy YouTube and sack you all. I actually believe you could do that at this point. I actually believe you could do that. So all you have for the next hour is just a $30 balance to hit. And I'll wait some time before I throw that up, since you guys have deserved it. All right. Now that I think all of the tech issues are out, praise God, I think everybody's finally in flow mode. Pun to you, Dusty.
Man, you jinxed the fuck out of yourself.
You went popcorn.
You jinxed the shit out of yourself.
There you go. How do you like that? Oh, Andy, where have you been? Praise God. I love it, Andy. Praise God. Andy, I will, yeah. Andy says with his big 20, he says, Deuteronomy 12:32 says, humans cannot alter God's law. God can bring his own law to completion in Jesus. Israel's argument assumes Jesus is only a man and so cannot fulfill or bring it to completion. But that is question begging. Oh, Andy, where were you like 20 minutes ago?
Yeah, a full debate against the guy would have been a lot better. It's hard to follow a line of questioning with 13 people jumping in. But his worldview is flimsy at best.
And well, you know, at the beginning, though, I kind of asked him that, too. I kind of hinted in at the idea, well, like the whole man can't do this thing. But Jesus wasn't, he was man to us, but he's not man to God. But you know, which way ever he had his, I don't know, Azrael, maybe you should debate him. Maybe we should do a one-on-one.
Maybe. We'll see. It seems like it'd be too easy. I'm excited for Vibe. He seems like a good debate partner. But
too easy.
It's just silly.
Thank you,
like,
Polly.
He picks and chooses what he wants to believe in, and it's just conveniently the first part, which was actually distributed by Christians, because we're the ones who widely copied and translated the Bible because we wanted everyone to be able to understand it. Whereas the rabbinical leaders who perpetuated
Are
the
you a
Torah at the
Protestant?
beginning just kind of used their power for evil and to rule over people. And that's why Jesus came and literally hated the Pharisees.
Are you a Protestant?
That's fair.
Yeah, he didn't apparently notice the first 1,000 or so years of the church where they preached in Latin and wouldn't share that with other people, and that other people were considered not able to read because they couldn't read Latin, even though they could read their own language. He apparently missed all that shit. And
No, so I'm not talking about Catholicism.
It's come sack me. It's shearing time, and I'm getting old, so might come do my job.
Wow. Texas Bully Mom in with the Big Ten says $10 towards the $30 left. And I believe Andy's $20 completes the package. So consider yourself the next 2 hours bought and purchased, paid for. So it's the next.
Chat.
That's called
next
divine timing when I appear. We get 2 hours of pay for us to divine timing, you know?
Fair enough. And I've got Michael Hatch, our darling donoer from the chat, hanging out backstage. If you want him up, you know what to do. And I think that's the only person left. I'm actually really proud of you guys because I had a full backstage all night up until now. Like it was full. That's an extra 5 seats back there. So thank you so much to all of you who showed up to have some fun. I really appreciate you. All right, let's kick it off. Go ahead. Gibbs, come in hot.
Not for divine timing. Now it's your nice. Oh, well.
I did it on purpose.
Yeah. What are we even talking about? Jesus is God? Of course he's the God.
5 books of the
That's
Torah.
That's why the
books of
Vikings
the Torah.
converted to the Lord Jesus. They couldn't handle his huge swinging dick. That's why the Muslims are so afraid. In Revelations, it says that they are going to be chopping the heads off to appease their God. That's why we are not worried as Christians, because we know that it's the right one. And all these other ones before, well, you can doubt, but when the Lord comes again, you're going to be part of Gog and Magog. And let me tell you something, boys. You don't want to be part of that group. That's the group that takes a whooping.
We just let you thin out the weak ones. We don't need very many to take out you weak asses.
Why does it seem like the 5 books of the Torah were the most important and anything else is irrelevant?
I mean, that's just Israel's.
Because Moses actually interacted with God where everybody else is just having visions. Supposedly, Moses interacted specifically with God where God showed him his spirit or being or whatever and gave him that, where everybody else is just saying, I had a vision.
So Moses is one of God's sons that came down just to have sex with women, right?
Samuel also directly convened with God. A lot of prophets directly convened with God. That's just a misunderstanding of the Bible in general. I mean, which he couldn't even say where in the 5 books he has to actually read times that God changed his views on things. Well, maybe not changed his views, but changed the narrative that
nobody else was in his presence. That's even according to your thing, where Moses actually
whenever the panel started,
Moses never stood in his presence. Moses actually had a retreat behind a rock, and God passed over.
You're making the case right now. You're making the case.
That's
Nobody
not in his
else did
presence.
this.
And even further than that, if you read the Bible
I like that he hit behind the rock, and that
if you read the Bible even further,
feels
Jesus is divine, all-powerful being because he is God, and he is co-eternal with God, with the Father.
Where in the Bible?
So therefore,
Where in the
existed
Bible
back
did you
then,
find that?
And that was Jesus. That a lot of
He just plows
scholars
right
believe
through,
that was
bro.
Jesus.
Don't expect him to stop.
I don't
I'm
expect
not
him
gonna
to
stop
stop. If you're
talking.
going to interrupt him, yeah.
We just makes claims
I
and
only
claims and
had
claims
one
and claims, and then when you
really
say
one more
about this thing, he ignores the question and just makes the claim again.
I completely ignored
I've
you
had that
because I was
experience
talking.
with Azrael every single time on panel.
Oh, look, it's God. Oh, look, he can't see me now. I'm hidden.
Hey, no nip
Tried to
slip.
fucking run from God.
Yeah, nip.
That was
nip
almost the
slip,
second
nip
time I've seen a
slip.
nipple on this channel. What'd you say, Dusty?
I do not have as nice nipples as she did. So I will go ahead and leave them put away.
True story.
I haven't actually heard a good argument against God.
Although I went back
I've
and
never heard a good argument for God.
No, an actual argument You guys
I mean, I can make an argument. I can make a good argument against religion.
Never heard tag.
I can make a good argument against Christianity, against Judaism, against all them. Is okay.
You had logic. What's the logic?
I do have logic. Logic and experience are the two things that God gave us to understand the world. Don't you agree? Like that's how we come to know anything. That's how you read the Bible. That's how you.
No.
He also gave us the Holy Spirit.
No, he's right. God gave us logic. That's why we say we're made in the image of God. It's not actually what we look like. It's the logic that he.
But if you're then ignoring what you've experienced in favor of something that contradicts your own experience and reason, say virgin births, resurrections, things like that, you're ignoring the tools God gave you to understand reality in favor of the words of man. Because I know that Rocky and will say shit like we get it from God or Brick will, but the fact of the matter is everyone here learned about religion from another person. So you're literally choosing the words of man over the experiences and knowledge God gave you.
That is not what
you said logic. You said logic. How do you have a creation without a creator? Can you point to one other example?
How do we know this is a creation?
Well, we can look to almost every scientist, even Stephen Hawking, the scientist that what happened?
I'm just pointing this out to Ant because this is a funny point why a non-believer calls himself God's favorite runt.
I don't call myself that. He called me that.
Yeah, I'd like to hear the actual logic. Because
go ahead, Andrew.
If there's if we have this existence that's space, time, and matter, the creator must, by definition, be outside of space, time, and matter. It can't be inside it. It's like Tolkien doesn't appear in the Lord of the Rings, right? So we don't expect to see God here logically.
You're just sitting on an assumption that there is a creator and that this is creation.
Point to another creation without a creator.
But your question doesn't actually address the logical paradigm, because who created the creator? It just kicks the can down the road.
No, it's an eternal, everlasting creator. It does solve the paradigm.
We're just going to regress all the way back.
Andrew, I can do an argument against God. You
Andrew, I can look at with reality. This is an eternal, everlasting reality. There you go. We just did the same thing.
So basically, like what you're doing.
That's not true. If you want an argument against God, at least use a good one. Aquinas makes a better argument against God.
It is good. I can tell it's good because you're getting fussy about it.
No, I'm saying you're not making sense. I don't have to.
It makes more sense than
you're making a claim
just calling it to existence.
You're making a claim that God is eternal. I'm saying, okay, reality is eternal. You're saying reality requires a creator. We've never seen a rock.
Reality isn't eternal because of science.
Correct.
So that's wrong.
Where's your faith?
No, but
I don't need faith in science.
All that shit. Oh, so you guys are scientists now. You believe in the Big Bang and shit, huh?
If I did believe in if I wanted to do an internal critique on your view, which is what I would do to disprove you.
You believe in the Big Bang? Do you believe in the Big Bang?
I believe in the possibility that
it
Big Bang happened in the form of a God.
I want a Big Bang.
I'll bring that
in the form of God did it. Whether or not I don't know what mode he used to bring everything into existence. I'm not God.
None of you.
I would never claim to be.
So you're perfectly fine ignoring science. You're doing it right now. I just asked you if you believe in the Big Bang. You said, nah, not really. So
that's
you're
not
fine.
What I said. Did you listen to me?
Big Bang. They're actually working on something else now that has to do with it wasn't actually.
How about the 6,000-year-old model as expressed in the words of the scripture?
All of it is theory. All of it is speculative. Nobody has any idea for sure where we came from. We can make models, we can make simulations, we can hypothesize.
But you said logically.
Can you tell me why we believe in the Big Bang and why we think it's
Can I have this conversation?
Microwave background radiation.
Along in a minute.
You said logically. So I'm saying logically, you can't point to another example of anything that's been created without a creator anywhere.
Logically, you have no reason to believe this reality is created.
Or the only reality.
Perfect. Yes.
Okay, and this is how I know it's a good argument, because all the Christians start squawking at the same time.
No, I'm trying to explain it to you. The perfect harmony of the universe is itself.
Maybe it's just a really dumb argument. It's easy to argue against.
Yeah, you're not producing an argument. That's why I was trying to give you a better one.
Absolutely, you can say it's not an argument, but it's absolutely an argument because
what's the logical proof in your argument? What is the logic?
You have this claim that this is created, but you don't have any. You're just a claim.
What is your logical argument against God? You're talking about my argument. What is your logical argument against God?
Prove your negative, Dusty.
I just did it.
You can prove a negative. That's a stupid thing to say. It's not raining.
I just made my
extraordinary
argument.
Claims require extraordinary
evidence. My argument is we don't have any proof that this reality is created. We have more evidence. We have more evidence that this reality has been here forever than we do that God was here forever.
You said a logical argument.
The majority of scientists disagree. Listen to what I'm saying. This is important. Argument. We have more evidence that the world has always been here than we do that God has always been.
We don't.
Here.
We have no evidence.
Argument. You said
Trust
you have
the
logic.
science. Trust
Hey, Andrew, give me a second. Let me go into the science of this because he's completely wrong. You have no evidence that the world's always been here.
Can I ask you guys all one question? Why are we all talking at the same time? You all know that nobody's
a good argument.
But you all know that
how great.
Thank you, Zephyr. I see you. Wonderful. You're cutie. But we all know that not a fucking audience member has heard what any of you have said. So as much as it's a great argument, and I'm sure you're all making amazing points, nobody can fucking hear you.
Well, I kind of let Andrew talk for a bit, and then I like to jump in, and then I wanted to expound upon the scientific principles that I know young Rocky doesn't even understand, because he says that we know that this has always been here, yet we know that this has not always been here.
No, I did not say
the
that.
Earth is eternal.
I said we have more evidence that the Earth has always been here than we do that God has always been here.
No, we don't.
Do we have more evidence that the world is flat or round?
We have no evidence that the world's always been here. And your previous scientific theory that you wouldn't expound upon, because I doubt you know anything about the Big Bang, actually says there was a beginning. Therefore, this Earth was not always here. All the matter existed in one location.
I'm going to compare the evidence.
Dusty.
Shut the fuck up, old man. When we were born, the world was already here, wasn't it?
Oh wow! So we're going from our own understanding.
Hold on. There's two parts. Where's God?
So we know because of the Big Bang that all matter is expanding from a centralized location. Therefore, let me get to the point.
Okay, I'm gonna read money since you guys can't figure out how to get along like peas and carrots, and still I already gave you your fucking warning, and nobody can seem to figure it out. Dusty, all you had to do is just let him finish his thought, and then you can tell him he's an idiot. Fourth Wiseman in with the Big Ten. Fourth Wiseman in with the Big Ten says, God is true. Okay, so look around at all you see and know and believe. You can describe God. Everything you don't see, you cannot describe. So therefore, God description is wrong. Any thoughts to that? Gibbs.
I'm on mute. Okay, yeah, good. So here's my question though, because if we start using the Dusty metric here, then I'm going to say something like, well, do you have any scientific evidence at all of life coming from non-life? And the answer is no. They don't have any evidence of that happening ever. We most know that things repeat themselves in nature, right? We see cycles and systems. Like we see planets, right? They orbit the sun, right? Then we have atoms. They orbit the nucleus. We see these repeated. We even see when you have the conception. We now see conception begins with a flash of light, i.e., like a Big Bang kind of thing. So we have more evidence of a creator saying something, let there be light, and then life coming from that, than we do of this opposite. Also, if God is all powerful,
no,
he
don't
could make
go to
something
also.
With age.
Don't go to also.
Yeah, because
are you saying that let there be light and coming out of a vagina are the same? Is that the comparison you just made?
No, I'm saying the actual sperm meeting the egg and bonding. Boom! Let there be light. It's a divine light.
We don't have any evidence of that. Also,
we do have evidence of that. We do have evidence that they have actually.
Really, there's light. Light happens, and
yeah.
Kidding.
Yeah, it's a chemical reaction.
I'm not kidding.
Okay, I'll leave it alone. I stand corrected on that one. I had no idea that there's a mini explosion when you don't pull out.
There's sparks.
Like I said, God has a lot of sense of humor, bro. He's got a sense of humor. That's another way I know God exists.
Regardless, all you did was point out that we don't understand everything. And I agree
you
with
want
that.
me to go ahead? Here, I'll just go ahead and finish my argument. So anyhow, we know the Earth has a beginning because of the Big Bang. Now, if you want to go for why,
Now you believe in the Big Bang.
What's the evidence?
That
I've already
doesn't-
told you I've studied science. I understand
saw
the Big Bang, and I
were
told you
there?
it could be used
Let
as a
him
transportation.
talk it. Let him talk it
However,
out.
when we look at God, we can look at the tag argument. We can also look at the fact that fine tuning argument and the fact that we have many systems on this planet that is irreducibly complex. And for those of you who have low IQ, don't understand what irreducibly complex means. It means
It's the watchmaker's paradox.
it
It's
has
bullshit.
multiple creative procedures within it that cannot exist by itself. They only exist in unity, which probably you don't understand that even after I explained it. So I don't know why I tried.
What?
Here to go with these
I
old,
figured.
tired arguments. The watchmaker's paradox, really?
Did we go to the moon? Did we go to the moon?
Yes.
That was fucking great watching him lay that out.
Yeah, we went to the moon.
Like the dumb shit he just said.
So
If you don't
basically all
understand
you did was
Fine tuning is dumb.
Fine tuning is very stupid.
just because nature is complex to our finite brains doesn't mean therefore God.
It's
No,
God of
but
the gaps.
no. The thing is that on the surface, everything is simple. It's not until you really go into the more advanced parts of these fields that things become so complex
Well,
that
I've
there
got
are
a
no
degree
more
too.
answers.
I understand that things are complex.
No, things are
I'm
simple
not
on
doubting
the
that.
surface.
I'm giving you that. I agree. Things are complex. We have little finite pea brains. We can't understand everything. That's why I don't understand why religious people have the hubris to assume they do.
It's not that we
Okay,
know.
let me
We think
say
we know
something.
everything. It's that
Because
we
they have
understand
been
Faith.
indoctrinated
There's a thing
since
called
birth.
faith. It's a means of perception. It's called faith. Most people learn most of their stuff.
That is
through
not
faith.
perception. That's not
It is.
perception.
You perceive
Exact opposite
through
of perception.
faith. When your teacher teaches you something, you believe it. That's faith. You believe in books
No, that's
you've
trust.
read.
Did we go to the moon,
Everybody has
Rocky?
faith.
Did we go to the moon, Rocky?
Everybody has faith. You don't let me.
I
are
think
different.
Rocky is
Let me
on
finish
the
my
moon. Go
point.
ahead, Rocky.
Okay. There's a means of perception. It's called faith. There's
Who knows?
logic. There's reason. There's and empirical evidence. Those are the three physical. And then you have faith, which is what most people learn their whole life through faith. Beginning as a child, you trust your father. He says something and you
But then you
faith.
test these things, Rocky.
And then you get up, you grow up to be like Flo's age, and you start thinking about logic, and you give up your faith, and you don't believe anything you've been told because you're
What you
basically
got behind you there, Rocky?
that's Moses.
That's the absence of logic. Rocky is now
Logic,
advising people not
there's something above logic. It's above logic. There's
What is
things
it?
that you can't learn
It's
through
not
logic.
logic, Flo.
Your philosophers and all your stupid motherfuckers.
This is why you're supposed to
trying
become like a little child, so you're
philosophize.
stupid and gullible. Rocky.
Flo read a book on philosophy.
They want you gullible. Be like a little child.
You might
Don't
try
think
one
like-
also, Rocky.
Flo
Be
read some
retarded.
philosophy books. and now he's
Some people
logical.
believe that God created the earth, and some people believe that nothing created the earth, which is one of the funniest answers in my opinion. Because you know what doesn't exist? Nothing.
Stop
Very funny.
strawmanning me.
Very
Stop
very funny
strawmanning me.
comedian said that.
No one said
That's not even
the
logic.
Earth was created by nothing. No one has said that.
Nothing is nothing.
So
And that's
so
not
when the
even
Big Bang happened,
logical.
what
Straw man,
caused all the matter to
man.
expand?
Big Bang does not say we came from
I
nothing.
flicked this cigarette at this panel full of straw men. It's going to
Because
light
there
them
was
up.
reactions.
Yeah.
Reactions happen.
Go ahead.
I didn't say, and
Go
let me
ahead,
make it clear.
Gibbs.
I'm
Are you
not
trying to
saying
talk? Oh,
I'm not saying Earth came from nothing. I'm saying we don't know. Have a little intellectual humility. You don't know where shit came from. That's okay. You're not supposed to know everything. Even the Bible says that.
I thought you don't believe in the Bible.
Damn.
I don't, but I'm talking to people who do.
he's using it against you.
But we're also told to be wise. But I mean, even outside of that, I'm not really
Wise like
into
little
that at that
children?
moment. I'm
Well, hold on.
I'm doing an internal critique
Well,
rather than trying to
You
assert.
didn't really
that God
answer this other
exists.
question though.
Usually when
So
you
when
do an
I brought this up and you said you stopped me it also, but I think this is important. If God is all powerful, then why wouldn't he be able to create something with age? Like we can create diamonds, right? And that's something that takes millions of years to be done. But we're always mimicking God, right? And Satan's only corrupting what God has done. So if we're mimicking God, we can make something with age, like a diamond. We can take a piece of carbon. Why wouldn't God be able to make a whole planet with age? Why wouldn't God be able to make a moon perfect the size that when he goes, it creates an eclipse, right? Why would he do this? So it's all these gravity. It's, Occam's razor. The most likely scenario is going to be the,
well, Admiral Gibbs,
the most
understand.
likely scenario is Gibbs will make me a diamond. Will you make me a diamond?
Yeah.
How many years will that take? Fourth wise man with the Big Ten says the only moon mankind went to is in your mind. Keep fighting the ghost until you're worn out and exhausted. Then hopefully logic kicks in and sees through all the dog and pony show. Anybody want to respond to that?
I just want to say, I also don't think he created with age. I just want to throw that out there. I'm just saying, if he is all powerful, he can do that.
But you pointed out something that I think is important.
Diamonds don't take a real long time to be made.
Gibbs pointed out that all we can do when we create things as humans is mimic what we've already seen, and I agree with that. And that's what I think. That's what I think exactly the God paradigm is.
Azrael, I know I interrupted you. Did you want to chime in?
I'll let them go.
Okay.
So I still didn't hear the logical argument from Dusty.
So,
I heard
Dusty, you're saying that we've seen God, that's why we created God.
I'm saying we've seen our daddy, and that's why we're inventing daddy.
What?
Oh, hey.
But that doesn't correlate whatsoever.
Daddy issues, Flo.
It doesn't correlate whatsoever. Our Father who art in heaven, it doesn't.
Yeah, you don't understand it at all.
Yeah.
I do understand it. In fact, I understand it just fine.
Do you think that we think God gave sperm for us to exist?
Heavenly Father.
Yeah, that's only because God
he does understand.
Displays himself as a
I would say
figure, as the Father, but
there's a difference.
It's not the same. Our Father,
you are
God's the Father.
You are really trying to explain it the way that somebody would explain it to another believer. You don't understand that, right?
No, I'm correcting him on our
doctrine.
No,
you're not. You're not correcting him because he doesn't believe, stupid.
Hey, talking louder doesn't make you right.
Okay, then what should I tell you to make you understand that Dusty doesn't believe? You're talking to him as if he's a believer.
When he does an internal critique on me, I'm going to respond from an internal position. When I'm doing an internal critique on him, I'm going to respond from an external position with his internal position. So I was responding from my position, which he was critiquing. Do you understand that? Does that track?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, because you're pretending
I don't know how to help you
then. Believes. You're pretending to know what he believes. Do you know what he believes?
So he was doing an internal critique on my position, on my beliefs. Mm-hmm. I was responding from that, which would be from my beliefs. When I do an internal critique on him, I will use his beliefs.
But you are pretending that you know what his beliefs are, and he has told you count.
He's
and
an
count
atheist.
again, and he does not believe that bullshit that you're spreading.
He's an atheist. He believes the Big Bang or string theory. Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
He's either agnostic or atheist.
Why don't we ask Dusty?
I'm agnostic. I don't believe Big Bang. I don't believe string theory. I have enough intellectual humility to recognize that there are things that we don't know. And I'm comfortable saying, I don't know where these things come from.
Well, we can observe. We can literally observe. He's gone.
No. He ain't gone nowhere.
So
now you understand that he's not atheist. He is saying he doesn't know.
Well, agnostic just means you think the possibility of a God, which if you're...
No, it means he doesn't know. He just told you. He has the humility to say and admit that he doesn't know.
In saying that there's a possibility there's a God means you don't know. It means there could be a God, there could not be a God.
So if you're going to make an argument towards him, make an argument towards him as if he doesn't believe and that he just doesn't know.
He was doing an internal critique on my worldview as a Christian. I responded and corrected him on what my worldview is. So if he misrepresents my worldview, I cannot use his worldview to correct his view on my worldview. Is that too many words, or did you understand?
No, an agnostic is going to ask you about your beliefs because he's going to want to try to understand where you're coming from, but it's not because he's trying to be convinced. You do understand that.
So that's why I responded and told him where I'm coming from. I didn't tell him where he's coming from.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You didn't do that. But if you're going to make an argument, you have to make it. I'm just coming from theology, right? You have to make it as if it's someone who doesn't want to believe.
Well, I talk to atheists quite often, and I utilize their worldview to try to tell them that God exists. Just like I don't know if you heard earlier, I told Rock not to try to assert that God exists, to try to utilize their worldview to prove to them that God has to exist. I've said on these panels multiple times, as Christians, it's not our job to convert people. It's our job to spread the word and to live as Christians. Only people who are brought to the Son are those who are drawn first by the Father. So I've told people that multiple times. I don't really care to preach to people
with
unless they're Christians.
And atheists, actually, I would argue too. I use a particular scripture because they will always use the scriptures against you. I use Hebrews 11:1 because what they will tell you is that faith is something that it's not. So, but if you use Hebrews 11:1, it actually defines it. So because it's defining it as a belief, right? So you're using the evidence that you have, but you're using it based upon a belief that you already have, and then assuring that hope that you have is true. That's what faith is. You're actually
Doesn't that actually contradict the reason that we were brought to this little double date we got going on here? Was you telling me not to use the Christian worldview to try to convince people that the Christian worldview exists?
No. What I'm telling you is that you're actually trying to convince him from the worldview that you believe he believes already.
He's either agnostic or atheist, which in any case, I can use the same exact argument to convince him that God exists. In one hand, he either doesn't know if God exists and believes there's a possibility. On the other hand, he believes that he has enough information that he knows God doesn't exist. Either way, I can use the same exact arguments. I can debunk.
What if he doesn't have enough? What if he doesn't have enough information?
No one has enough. No one on this planet,
right,
to public knowledge has access to universal world claims. Right. Obviously, if I was to say everyone, we know that no one has no access to universal world claims. That in itself would be a universal world claim. In itself would be a fallacy. All right. I'm saying is
so knowledge is not how we get there. It's rather belief. It's actually belief. So it's just a belief. It's actually not even knowledge. It's actually belief. We just believe something. Now, we might believe it based upon evidence, which creates quote unquote faith. But you can't sit there and say, I can prove this. You can't. Nobody can.
Speaking of proof, Andrew has come to this panel. He had some fun, and now he would like to make his exit. If we could let him have his final words, and he will be heading on out. Go ahead, Andrew.
Thank you. Yeah, perfect timing in line with what Clay's saying, because I the whole time I've been trying to give you the logical proof for this, that we can actually prove. I'll use your worldview. I'll use relativity. There's nothing. The entire universe is in motion. There's nothing that's in motion without a mover. This is relativity. You cannot have an infinite chain of movement. Of universes moving without a first mover that caused it. This first mover is what we refer to as God. This is how you prove something logically. And what I was trying to show Dusty is he said he had a logical argument against God. I would recommend he looks up Thomas Aquinas, as he actually makes the best logical argument against God, the one that most atheists still use today. He ended up only citing evidence at the end, but I did want to show that logical proof for God. And I will be back very soon.
So what put God in motion?
That's the logical proof.
There you go.
Have an unmoved first mover, and that's what we call God. Because nothing is in motion.
This is God of the gaps. You're just claiming this.
It is not.
Yes, it is.
Everything is in motion. We can see that. We know relativity is a fact. There must be. You cannot go back infinitely in moving galaxies. There must be an unmoved mover logically. That is God. I already said God's not a being.
You are stating that there is something in motion. That's God. right?
No, I'm saying God is the unmoved mover. The first one. I'm saying you can't have an infinite chain of things moving.
Okay.
That's relativity. There must be a mover.
Okay. So why can't nature itself be the first mover?
Because
we can
nature
see
is
that
in motion, sir.
that things are in motion here and now.
Right. Because they're in motion, that's relativity. The theory of relativity. It must have a mover. So there's nothing in motion that something didn't put it in motion. So because of
Except
that,
for God. Except for God.
Right.
So you're making up.
Thank
You're
you.
making.
You
Okay.
get it.
You're.
You get it,
I
sir.
do get it. You're just
Thank you.
making something up and saying this is the thing that defies.
Thomas
You're
Aquinas.
saying reality has to adhere to
God.
laws.
I'm not making it up, sir. This is the argument.
This is the unmoved mover.
No, it isn't. It's in motion
Yes, it
as
is.
we speak. We're flying, hurtling through the
I have.
universe.
I have
What
more
gave the
evidence.
first push?
I have more evidence that this slider created the universe than you do that God did.
No, I'm saying there must be a unmoved mover. Something must have pushed everything out because nothing in the universe moves. There's always an equal reaction, right? You push force on something, it
With
moves.
physics. Right. When we put physics into action,
Yes.
but we arrived in the universe, physics is already happening.
Right.
There's already motion. We
Correct.
all arrived in motion.
Therefore,
no, therefore.
Yes, there's a therefore because you have to look at relativity. Therefore, there must be an unmoved mover that put it in motion, no matter
No,
how far you go
that's-
back.
that's your
physics,
distance.
bro. Sorry.
There was already motion in place. Motion is already existing.
That's not how physics works.
That is how physics
There
works.
must be an equal and opposite reaction. That's physics. There must be a
that
mover.
that is not relativity. That is
I'll
something
point
else.
to something else in the universe that moves without a mover. I'll wait.
Atom.
Moves without a mover.
The electrons in an atom, they're
Right,
moving.
there's a field there moving it, an electric field. You're not going to be able to point, and not to mention everything on the planet is moving because we're hurtling through space. I'm
So-
saying that you can't have that infinitely. If you go
But-
back, there must be a cause.
You
That cause
can't,
is
but
God.
we do. But we do. Our knowledge is limited. You can't just plug Sky Daddy in where your knowledge
Daddy,
is.
he's not a being. I already said that. Strawman.
He's not a being.
That's right. He is being.
Oh my God.
That's the Catholic position. God is
Am
not
I God?
being. God is being.
Am I God?
No, sir. Because you are a
Am I
being.
Am I'm a being, but I'm not being.
Right. You have the essence of God because you're alive.
You're trying to make this make sense with debate bro tactics and semantics.
No,
You're playing
this
word
is-
games
this is
here.
the
But at the end of the day,
Catholic
at the
position,
end of
my
the
friend.
day,
Look up Thomas Aquinas.
you're saying everything
All
has to be
religion actually
motion.
makes sense if you take a little bit, if you take a minute to research it. We're not saying Sky Daddy. No, that's heresy. No one is saying God is an old man in the sky from the Catholic position. That is not our position. We're
I went
saying
to
there's an
Catholic high school,
unmoved
lots of-
mover, and that is God. And that's logic, dude.
So the unmoved mover, that could be everything around us.
No, because it's moving. Something must be moving it. There must be a first mover. I know you don't want to admit it, but
God
you
is
know what I'm saying is
God
true.
self-moving? Did God move himself?
God is the unmoved mover.
That concept doesn't make any more sense than the Trinity does. You can't have one or three.
And Einstein didn't make sense.
No. I'm talking about your unmoved mover. Einstein
that's
didn't
not-
bring
that's
up the unmoved
relativity.
mover. That's not
Something
Einstein.
must have put it in motion. If
This
everything
is
is
Catholicism's
moving,
addition to Einstein. Just
that's
like one
Einstein.
can't equal
If
three.
there's a motion, something must have put it in motion. If you go back far enough and you get to a certain point, it can't be infinite that everything is moving. At some point, there must be something that put it in motion.
Isn't this the same as the question of could God build a boulder so heavy that he couldn't lift it? Doesn't this kind of play into that piece?
It's a similar paradigm. He's just insisting that there has to be something to put everything in motion,
That's
and
physics,
that therefore
dude.
it's God.
That's
Therefore it's
physics.
God.
I'm using your own. You don't believe in relativity?
I don't believe in your application of relativity to the unmoved mover.
What application? That things in motion need a mover? That is relativity. There's no that's what it is.
What did Einstein say about the first mover?
Sorry, bro.
Fucking
know
nothing.
You know I got you here logically. That's what I was trying to show you. If you want the best logical argument against God, look up Aquinas. I gotta go. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Andrew. It was a pleasure having you as well.
Good night. Good night, guys.
Can I offer something about the boulder question?
Yeah, I would actually love to talk about that piece.
If it's so big, it would not be a boulder anymore. Once it gets big enough, it stops being a boulder. Like if a rock gets big enough, it becomes a boulder, right? So if a boulder gets big enough, it's a planet.
So more
it's just
symmetric
like,
bullshit.
and then if that keeps getting bigger, it's going to burn up in its own fuel, become a black hole eventually. So God don't have to be lifted in a black hole at some point.
That doesn't
So
answer.
really, can God hold
not
apart
the
two black
question.
holes that are too heavy?
That's the
I'm being
piece
a little
that the-
silly, but
yeah, but that's the concept to it is like, is there even a boulder big enough to meet that standard, right?
At least
Yeah, it's like
making
how
word
practically
play
are
and
we
trying
actually
to
looking at it,
sidestep the
though?
problem instead of actually tackle it.
And
it's a poorly formatted question to begin with. So
And the whole could God make a rock big enough or heavy enough that he couldn't move it? The answer is yes. God could make a rock that is eternally never going to be moved, and he never could move it. But is he going to do
Really?
that? That
There it
goes
is.
into the divine nature of God. Will he do that? That's just the nature of God. Like, God is not evil. God is good. God would never do evil acts.
God made evil.
God is logic. God didn't make evil, and that just goes to show further that you misunderstand the
Light in the
Bible.
dark. I
He
created
did.
good and evil. He says it himself.
Evil is only the absence of good. In the same way, dark does not exist. Dark is only the absence of light. Evil is only the absence of good. Because without goodness, evil cannot exist. For an action to be evil, it has to be judged upon by a certain pretense, and that pretense is good.
I form the light and create the darkness. I make peace and create evil.
That part is true.
The two can't exist without each other. They're interdependent.
That's not true. Good can't exist without evil, but evil can't
No,
exist
it
without
can't.
good.
Then it just
It can.
is. Then it just is.
Unless there is a God, which there is, and therefore he is good.
There is
and he
no
can
good.
exist
It just is. It's just the way it is. There is no good and evil. If it's one-sided, that
there
paradigm
is
doesn't
a God,
exist.
and God is
You
good.
can't have a north on a magnet without a south. It's just not fucking magnetized anymore.
So if God was the
Is-
only thing that exists, just give for a second. You have to step into my
But
worldview.
doesn't
You're
Well, hold on,
misunderstanding the
Azrael.
question.
Hold on. Doesn't that fall under the concept that God wants you to yearn for him, right? Like yearn. The only way to do that is if you have free will, but you can't have free will if you don't have two options, being good and evil, right? And you have the ability to choose between the two of them. So wouldn't that make sense with that caveat that he wants you to want him, but he has to give you the free will.
that's the problem.
Well, that's the problem with
else
original.
it's
Well, let
or
me
else it's
answer
just
the
a
question to
setup,
me real
right?
quick.
Sure.
Yeah. So the thing is when the earth, biblically, when Adam and Eve were created in the Garden of Eden, there was no evil. They lived in perfection. There was only good. There was no death. There was no sin. Sin is evil inherently. It's just what sin is. So if there was no sin, and if it wasn't until Eve ate of the apple, which can be a literal fruit, or not apple, the fruit, which could be a literal fruit, but it could also be hyperbole, which is more likely the case in a sense. But when she ate of that fruit, that's when evil entered into this world. So really, man created evil in the action of disobeying God, because anything that we do when we disobey God, that is evil.
Speaking of evil, Zephyr, I need you have been brought up. Texas Bully Mom said, bring up Zephyr and let him choose who to boot, and bring up 10th and let 10th choose to boot. Zephyr, you already get the spot anyways, because Dusty got irritated and booted himself. But 10th man, let me know in the chat, preferably backstage, because it's easier for me to see. Who would you like to pick to boot off the panel? And then also, Andy sends in a big 10 and says, if a mind can rise from earthly fathers to heavenly father, it is not trapped in material images. That does not refute Christianity. It concedes analogical predication, not a bigger human in the sky.
No,
Azrael, you were shaking your head. You want to add on to that?
Absolutely. That coalesces to everything I was saying. I completely agree. But I will say use smaller words so some of these people, some of these atheists can understand you.
And so with the Christians too.
Does hubris fit? Oh my God! I can't wait to review this. The people. I won being narcissist on my own panel, but you guys made me look like I'm like a well-reasoned dude. I can't believe someone would sit there and go, one of two arguments means you have to agree with my argument. Like, are you freaking serious right now, bro? There's no way you just said that out loud to my ears on a recording that I get to critique tomorrow. Oh my God, bro. I don't even know who you are, but you're going to be one of my pets now. This is adorable.
Liberal, probably definitely going to take a 10-minute snippet and then critique that, just like they like to take one sentence.
No, bro, I'll troll you for fucking the next 15 years.
I promise you,
you don't understand.
My apologies to Chi-Town. I only just saw the notification for the Buy Me a Coffee. Chi-Town came in with a big 5 and says, dang it, YouTube won't let me chat, and it's been 20 minutes. To my point, God did change his mind when he regretted creating man and delivering Israel from Egypt. He told Moses, let's start over with you. Moses entreated the Lord not to do so, mostly because how could he be a merciful God if he did so? The heathen nations would say, this God could not keep his own safe. How can we believe him? Thus, God didn't do it and repented. Read the book of Numbers 14. Anyone have a thought to that?
Look at Gilgamesh.
Gibbs?
I wanted to come back to this other thought y'all were just engaging in with the tree of knowledge of good and evil, right? So, like, God does create evil. God creates the knowledge of good and evil, and right? And he gives them free will before they even understand what good and evil is, right? And what does he say after they do eat of the tree of good and evil? It means they'll become like God. So he has to kick them out before they go and
cast them out before they eat of the tree of eternal life.
Right.
Because if they were to eat of that and be living within evil, they would be eternally evil because they would have eternal life. And they would be living in rebellion.
Yeah, and they would always live set apart from God. And the biggest thing you don't want to do is live apart from God.
It doesn't say that evil was created. It says they got knowledge of evil. That means that they were doing some fucked up shit sometimes, and they didn't know it, like an animal. So they were basically animals for that. And now that they've gained the knowledge of good and evil, meaning, hey, I know some things are right and some things are wrong. Now I realize that maybe killing this thing over here, this guy over here, because I just want his stuff, isn't a good thing to do. Whereas in animals, they will do that no problem.
Yeah, so but that's exactly right.
There was a primary example.
That's actually a good thing, right? Like because if you look at like the age of innocence under most like doctrines of like Christianity here, you're gonna have the age of innocence. That's why like people don't like go to hell necessarily before they've gotten like preached to, right? That's part of the reason why people go and witness, right? It's because they're living under the age of innocence. That God makes his way self known through nature or whatever. Or you have like the children. That's why you see like in the Left Behind series when they try to imagine what the rapture like. People under a certain age is like the age of innocence, or people that are not mentally all there. You see them get raptured out in a lot of these examples because that's the prevailing theory. Is that since they can't understand good and evil, then they can't commit evil. Like it's actually the knowing that it's wrong is the evil part. Like of choosing to do that.
I would like to address Gibbs' point. Gibbs, this is a complicated argument we're having, and I know there's plenty of grown-ups that might not be up to the task for this. Just like my non-area of interest, or they want to take care of their kids, right? It's a big thing. Is Forrest Gump going to hell?
I mean, it depends if he accepted Jesus.
I'm pretty sure he's a Christian.
The average Somali, allegedly, or something.
He believed in that feather.
Fourth Wise
no,
makes a
what
little
was,
big
right?
and says Earth gains billions of tons of matter annually. Most of it burns up on entry through atmosphere, yet it still gains more than it loses via off-gassing through outer atmosphere.
What are we talking about? Gibbs' ass?
It's very nice. It grows.
I'm just fucking with you, brother.
I get what you're saying. You're saying because Forrest Gump was ignorant and innocent, could he go to hell?
Yeah, like it's an actual question.
In that sense, I would say probably not. I mean, he doesn't have a firm grasp of good and evil. I mean, look at his relationship with Jenny. If he didn't know what evil was, he never would have married her. So,
Balderson, any thoughts to Fourth Wiseman's dono?
He's just saying that we do lose because hydrogen mostly would be going up, but that and it does seem like the Earth is gaining consistently, because when you start looking at any archaeology, every fucking new civilization is literally just built on the bones of the last civilization. You start looking at digs, and they start finding temples under temples under temples, buildings under buildings. It happens just constantly. So apparently we're gaining Earth.
Could that be explained by geological and weather patterns?
But where is all this extra mass coming from? I mean, there's a conspiracy community, I'm not part of it, that talks about mud floods, and that there's these entire floods of mud. It's very interesting because, like I said, you start looking into it. Literally underneath every major city is whole other cities.
Yeah, but that's just because the Earth flows and because of precipitation patterns and water. But I'm pretty sure we actually lose more mass annually than we gain through the escaping of gases and stuff like that. But
I would say it probably balances itself. That would be my guess, my best guess.
Fourth Wiseman sent this in when Gibbs was talking. Actually, Gibbs, I think this was to Gibbs because it came in while you were yip yapping. But he says, "Wrong."
Wrong.
Well,
yeah,
I'm not.
Wrong. Yes, you are.
Hey, the best one Gibbs. The best one.
I could yell louder. I'll make myself right that way if I have to.
Shout out to the Dusty Raid. Shout out to the Dusty Raid. Thank you so much, sir, for sending all of your heathens over here to come hang out with us. We appreciate you very kindly. I love watching Dusty get frustrated on panel. He gets so irritated.
Welcome.
So
be converted.
All right, I'm actually skipping the line. I'm bringing Andy up. Sorry, Ant. Sorry, Spin. I know you had to step out for a second, but Andy is one of my favorites, especially in the matter of God and philosophy. So everybody's going to shut up and listen to Andy, okay?
I just was jumping on to join the conversation, but I could explain what I meant earlier by the analogical predication, I suppose. What I meant there was if Dusty or Flo, whatever he goes by, if his argument was that we get this concept of an infinite heavenly father from a finite heavenly father, it seems like if you're a materialist alone, you can't really move from the concept of finite to infinite based on sensory experience, because you don't experience an infinite amount of things. So you have to somehow get to this concept of the infinite, and there are different ways you can do that. And my point was just, you can't do that or it's not just an argument to say, oh, because it's possible to move from the concept of an earthly father to a heavenly father, therefore Christianity is false. Because Christianity itself has many ways you can do that, with like an analogy or univocal being prior to being separated in the categories. So you can do that a lot of different ways.
He wasn't using that as specifically the argument to disprove Christianity. He was stating that that's humans' natural mode to take the known and overlay it onto the unknown. Similar to the way your mind will make faces out of things, because your brain takes unknown and tries to form it into known. So taking the known idea of a father and overlaying this other father that I can't see would be a natural human condition.
Yeah, but Christians agree with that. We agree that happens. We would just say, if you're laying something onto the unknown, you have to know the infinite first to place the infinite onto the unknown. Otherwise, how do you come to know the infinite just through the material world?
It's unknown.
Then you can't place it onto the unknown if you don't know it.
That's just weird what you said. How would you?
No, because you're saying you have to know something to place it onto the unknown, and now you're saying you
take and place something known over the unknown to try and grasp an understanding.
Okay, great. So then you would never come to the idea that God is infinite.
That makes no sense at all.
None.
I'm sure it doesn't make sense to you.
Because you can't grasp infinity.
What was that?
Because you can't grasp infinity.
How do we work with infinite sets? How do we work with infinite sets? How do you even know what I mean by it?
You don't. You don't.
Sure you do. Okay, what about
you work with
contingency?
theoretical infinite sets?
Yeah,
Theoretical.
Yeah, but we
Inside
still
model.
Once
understand the
again,
concept.
you are trying to take something that is you are trying to take something that is supernatural and make it
You
natural
think the
with your
infinite
monkey
is
brain.
Supernatural.
No.
So what are
It is
thoughts?
not.
What are you
What are
talking
ideas?
about? And why
What
am
are
I trying to make
ideals?
something supernatural?
So hold on. I got you, Andy. What are thoughts? What are
He
ideals?
asked me a
what
question,
are views?
okay.
What are viewpoints? What are viewpoints? What are opinions?
Well,
are
that's
these
not, I don't think that's the same. To be fair, I just want to press this point a
Is
little
it
bit
not?
because
why
think
would
about
that, why
if
would
you
that
think
not fall
infinite
into the
doesn't-
same category?
If you think infinite, that's immaterial, not infinite.
So infinite is immaterial in their viewpoint.
Yeah, but they're not convertible terms.
Sure, they
Right.
are in their mind.
Would
I
the
don't
reverse
think
of this
so.
be true
Why
too?
would it
You wouldn't
be
be able to concept.
Don't tell people how they think,
of
Britt.
nothing. Hold on. Would the reverse of this be true too? Like if you have like nothing, we can't actually fathom nothing because there is always something. Whether there's air in my hand, there's molecules, even in space,
Agreed.
there's like whatever. So like in that idea, in that concept, we don't actually understand what the concept of nothing is either, right? Even mathematically, it's impossible to prove. Like on some ways, right? So like, how do we? I think there's a whole Young Sheldon episode on it, right? So like, how do we? How do you like cope with those if like that's kind of the argument is we have to know something
So,
to understand.
what do you think a theoretical infinite set is? It's not nothing. Nothing's literally just nothing. Infinity.
It literally is nothing. It's just an imagine. You're. It's like it,
Yeah, but we
somebody tried to tell me that.
Okay,
somebody
but
tried
then
to
you're
tell
saying,
me that.
this is what you're saying. Then you're saying
no. Somebody tried to tell me that Spider-Man exists. No, he doesn't.
But then, okay, this is what you're saying, though. You
Yes,
still have a
he
concept of
does.
Spider-Man. You still have a concept of Spider-Man. You're saying infinity
Irrelevant.
is nothing.
He is theoretical. He is not a thing that exists.
You're
Just
telling
because you
me-
pretend he does doesn't mean he does.
You're telling
You can
me that
try
you think
to
you
equate
understand
this.
the
No. I understand way more than you will ever probably understand in your entire life.
Let me just push back.
Just
on what you're saying.
because you make up a specific argument that suits your
I didn't make it
end
up.
does not make it real.
I didn't make it up. So what you're saying is, look, I know the infinite is nothing, even though I don't know what the infinite
No,
is.
that's not what I said. Notice you don't ask questions. Do you notice you don't ask questions? You tell
That's because I
people
can listen
what
and
they
hear
say
what
and
you're
what they
saying.
think?
Yeah, so
No,
there's this thing.
did you just
No,
say
because
the
you
infinite-
can't engage in a real discussion or
Did you just
debate.
say- I'll ask you a
You
question.
have to tell other people what they think and say.
Did you
I
just
bet,
say?
I bet he thinks he can listen and talk at the same time, huh?
Well, you can. Sure, you can. I do.
Sure, I
mean,
can.
People do it all the time. You just said that you don't know what the infinite is.
Nope.
Okay, what is the infinite?
You
What
don't
is
know.
infinity?
No
What
one
is
knows.
infinity?
No
Okay,
one
if
knows.
Nobody knows. Then you can't
Right.
say that we don't have a concept.
It's
of
a
infinity
theoretical
because
concept.
You're saying I don't know what the
It's a
concept is. and then I'm
theoretical
telling you
concept.
You don't have it.
It's theory.
What's theory?
Infinity.
Okay, so how can you use the concept of infinity? How can you say infinity?
How can
is
you
a
use the
theoretical
concept of Spider-Man?
Yeah, okay, that's all you need, a concept.
Right.
He doesn't have to exist.
You
really.
don't.
The infinite
You
doesn't
don't.
Need, material infinites don't.
No,
have
you
to
don't
exist
use it because it
in
doesn't
reality.
actually exist. Right? This is something that you made up in your head.
No, you're saying it doesn't
Yes.
materially exist. You're
No, it
saying
literally
doesn't
does not
in the mate-
exist.
But you just said it exists theoretically.
Right.
Okay, so it does exist. What are you talking about?
That's why you say the word theoretically after
Okay.
that.
So theoretical existence is nothing, is what you're saying.
Correct.
That's obviously false.
How?
Because the concept of Spider-Man still exists as a concept. Our concept's
Theory
nothing. Our
means
concept's
that
nothing.
it is not fact.
Our concept's nothing.
No. Theory means it's not fact.
How are you using fact? What do you mean by that?
No. Fact is a fact. Something that you can display, something you can show.
Okay, I agree with you.
Yeah.
There are no material infinite sets.
Do you think that movies are real? Do you think that Luke Skywalker existed? Is that the world
Wait,
where
how
you
did
live?
How did you get to that? How did you get to that? What's your thought
It's
process?
the same as your Jesus. It's the exact same thing. You like to talk.
whoa.
You
I'm
like to
talking
no.
about
You like to
infinity
try to
right now.
discuss the middle, but I like to go right to the end.
I'm talking about infinity. We have you haven't even addressed
Yep.
that.
No, we're skipping past that because once again, it's not real, just like Luke Skywalker.
3 times
It's not a thing that's real. You have to have a scale of measurement in order to even think about something being infinity, which means if you can measure it, it's not infinite. So what you're talking about is something that doesn't actually exist, and we imagine. The same as God, the same as your girlfriend loving you instead of your best friend, same thing.
You're saying that infinity doesn't exist, but we can have
Correct.
a concept of it, but the concept exists, which is exactly what I'm saying.
Because infinity would be a unit of measurement, and if it could be measured, then it wouldn't be infinite. So it's a contradiction right there. And the fact that you don't understand, you're like, the problem is you're half my age, right? So you're just like starting to think about stuff.
Half your age. Oh,
you are, man. I'm 50 years old. What are you? 27?
I'm 38.
Oh my God. Well, you don't have the mind of a 38-year-old. So this is the problem. Is
I think
you
I think
seem to not no, you're just starting to think. What did you do? Go to university or something and get yourself a fucking some type of lesbian dance theory major?
You can't answer my question.
No, I am answering your questions. No, you want me to answer within the parameters that you can understand.
You can answer however
I'm speaking to you how I speak to a professor of astrophysics or something like that, right? I go at the end because I already did that.
You said okay. So
when you were in diapers.
You're saying
when you were in diapers, I was talking to professors about this shit.
Wait, how old are you?
50 years old.
Wait, so when you were 12? You were talking
No, when I was like 19. Yeah.
Okay.
When you were still in diapers. Yeah.
I was in diapers when I was 7.
Okay, give or take. So how do you not understand that? How do you not understand it? How do you not understand that by being able to measure it would mean it's not infinite, so it can't be infinite if you can measure it? How can you not get that?
I'm fine with that. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay. So it's not real, right?
There are no material infinite sets.
No, it's not a thing that exists.
You're saying infinity doesn't exist at all.
No, being able to count, being able to say there's a whole bunch of grains of sand on the beach and we'll never be able to count them all doesn't mean it's infinite.
Thank you. You've proven my point. You have proven my point. Thank you so much. And it's the same thing Dusty did with Father to Heavenly Father. You can't move from a material set of finite things to an immaterial notion of infinity without immaterial things, without analogical predication.
Yeah, except for you want to overlay a model onto infinity and pretend like you didn't just overlay a known onto an unknown. Like doing the same thing everybody else is doing.
It's adorable. He doesn't even understand it. He doesn't like, Dude, I'm dumb as a rock. How you can't understand this basic shit?
Here's this known model.
Hey, you said one thing I agree with, 10th man.
Explain the unknown that we can't explain.
I'm not overlaying a model on infinity. I'm overlaying a model on empiricism, which you also have, and you just said you have it.
So just so you know, this type of nonsense is why right now, I believe the law just got passed here in Canada, that certain passages in the Bible are now illegal for you to preach, right? Because you guys go around and you do crazy shit.
Oh, Canada's a mess.
Yeah,
Fourth Wiseman comes in to say, when you sleep and dream the language your primordial soul operates on is not the indoctrinated tones of anything taught by cult systems. It's more intelligent. So why join the stupid club? Is anybody here part of the stupid club?
No gurus. I don't live in stupid land.
Carl Jung fan. I'm in.
It's more fun there.
I don't dream.
Yeah, blessed is the mind that is so small that it can't ask questions.
You're not aware of dreaming. Rather, everybody dreams.
No. My mind is blank. Not just when I'm sleeping, but when I'm awake.
Brick, you said one thing we both agree on.
Yep. Yeah, because I don't need these extra extrapolations that you guys rely
Andy,
on.
are you talking about Andy? Are you kind of going into like empirical evidence type of concept? Is that where you were going with that?
Well, I agree. I agree with 10th that you can't just count a ton of sand and get to infinity. Like that's the point, though. So embedded within.
No. That's not what I said. See, you didn't hear what I said.
Hold on. I want to hear what he has to say.
Oh, well, go ahead. Say what I want to hear what 10 said, so I can adjust my answer.
Just because you don't have the ability to measure it doesn't make it infinite.
Yeah, that's fine. That's what I'm saying. That's
literally what he said.
Yeah, that's literally what I'm saying.
That's not what you said.
Yeah.
He said pretty much the same thing.
I said just because you have a ton of
Pretty
sand
much the
that
same
you can't
thing.
count.
See, if you can't understand that basic concept, and then you're going to have to change the words to be able to change it.
No.
I really think you're not
I see what Andy's
Yes, I'm not
saying.
understanding. Yes.
So, 10th man, just because you have a bunch of sand that like it would take you forever to count, it doesn't mean that the number's infinite, right?
Yeah, right. Correct.
It means empirically there is a number there. We just don't know because we ain't got the time to do it.
Right.
Right.
Yes. So
The same as the stars in the sky or the universe. And we learn new things all the time, supposedly. And then to say that there's a such thing as an infinity, I don't think that's you can't say that.
No,
You can't say that there is infinity.
In the
You
same
can't.
way that you can't count things and then conclude there is no infinity, you cannot count things and conclude there is an infinity. You cannot count things and conclude there is not an infinity.
I'm not the one saying there is an infinity.
Just because you cannot count every star in the sky because we can't see them or we don't have the time does not mean there isn't infinite stars in the sky.
Sure, but
And that also does not mean that there is infinite stars in the sky, nor does it mean that there's an infinite God.
But you're denying the value.
So you just proved my point for me. Thank you.
You're denying the reality of if there is the reality of infinity by saying it's not because you can't comprehend it. But just because you're a finite being trying to comprehend the infinite doesn't mean that it's not true.
All you need is the
you're
concept,
imagining
which is already conceded.
A sky daddy, just like Dusty said, and then expecting other people to just accept it. It's like, trust me, bro, I can count to infinity. Stop it.
Well, hold on. There's an easier way. There's a bigger problem. There's a bigger problem.
I think that's the point. Is he's not trying to convince you to believe it.
She's trying to convince me that
there's a bigger problem
that it
with the
exists.
logic that you have, 10th, right?
He's explaining his stance. He's explaining. Sorry, Gibbs. He's explaining his stance and why he believes it.
Yeah, but there's a bigger issue with what you're saying, though, right? It's just because you can't imagine infinity. Let me tell you what you also can't imagine. Can you imagine the number in your head of what all the sands on a beach would look like, or all the sand grains in the Sahara? No one physically can do that. Like, right? So that we actually do have a way to encompass infinity because we can't imagine this X quantity. Right. That's why they use variables. So, like, I don't see what your issue is at that.
There's a difference here, though.
Fundamentally,
there's a really important difference that we keep jumping between that I'm trying to make clear. 10th is using, and you just use the term imagine, which is not the same as conceive. To imagine is to image something. If you image something in your mind, you have a representation of that thing. So I ask you to picture a square in your mind. You can do that pretty easily. You can create an image of a square in your mind. If I ask you to imagine a trillion-sided figure, you can't imagine the trillion sides in your mind, but you have a concept of what 1 trillion means, and you have a concept of what a figure.
You can't conceive. Even a supercomputer here right now, quantum computer, couldn't conceive the amount of atoms that make up the Earth.
But we do have a
conceiving isn't imagining. Conceiving isn't imaging.
They're not the same thing. But like even then, like a supercomputer, we know there's a finite number of atoms that make up the Earth, right? There's a number, but even a supercomputer at the highest level still can't conceive of what that number would be. It would crash.
Computers don't conceive. Humans conceive. Humans have concepts.
You're really like it's really like a distinction without a difference at this point. Like when we're getting to
it's definitely not. It's definitely not a distinction without a difference.
So the difference between imagine and conceive. Imagine is to say you can hold the idea and completely understand it in its entirety. Conceive is more of can you is it possible?
Understand it. You don't need to understand it entirely.
Yeah. So bad that you can't even describe it.
What's the word for that weird thing you do when you look at the Grand Canyon in person? What are we calling that?
How do you conceive nothing? That's like nothing existing. It would be like I can't conceive it like nothing.
I don't think you can. Yeah, I don't think.
I agree. I agree with you and Gibbs on that. But like, there's
sometimes I conceive that these panels are nothing.
And you also can't conceive infinity.
I can.
No. Then we can't work with infinite sets. Yeah, we can't work with theoretical infinites then.
But you can use them to do wacky calculus.
You're overlaying a known onto an unknown.
Yeah, and we need infinity for calculus.
I don't think I am.
Yeah, because you claim to set.
You also have a nothing number too that doesn't really mean anything.
Nil.
I. Is that the I? And speaking of nothingness, I also still have Ant hanging out backstage, and AJ has joined us back there. He's hanging out very patiently, waiting. Dick keeps going in and out. I don't know if he's got some internet issues or if he's just hoping that it'll get him up faster or not, but he's hanging out back there too. So if you want any, well, Dick's not back there now.
Oh, darn. No dicks.
No dick right now. But Ant and AJ are patiently waiting. So do your good services to the panel. And go ahead and continue.
Because you chose a set of infinites or a set of infinites, right? So you've actually created a number now. So if there's 3 sets of infinites, there's 3. There's an actual layout for that. So your infinites are conceptual, sure, but they exist within the boundary of the sets.
3 sets. What are we talking about here?
So because you said then we can't work with sets of infinites. But no, that's not true. We can work with the sets. We just can't work with the infinites.
I'm saying on their perspective, they don't think we can.
That's because
Fair enough.
I didn't say you can't. I said because those sets exist, they are obviously not infinite. You can take and define it. And so it doesn't really represent infinity. So you are taking a known and overlaying it into an unknown, the same as a human takes and overlays, because I have this father, makes the father in heaven and overlays the known onto the unknown. It was the whole fucking point the whole time.
No, but you just equivocated on a term there. You said that it exists or it doesn't exist, but how doesn't it exist? The set. I agree, it doesn't exist in material reality.
And so you've instead made something with definable terms, definable fucking parameters in order to represent something that you can't even fucking represent.
How did I give definable parameters?
So
it can't be part of a mathematical equation without it.
No, I'm saying there's a theoretical concept. If you want to say a concept,
I understand what a fucking egregore is.
Correct. The theoretical concept, the same as of God. There's also a theoretical concept that there's a God. And that's what Dusty was saying.
No, Dusty wasn't just saying that.
And then you feed your energy into it and believe in it.
This argument goes back to Plato. This is an old argument. I didn't make it up.
Yeah, it's actually Socrates. Actually, by the way,
Socrates
I
gave
agree.
it first, but Socrates didn't write anything.
I agree. It's the only thing I know is I know nothing. That's how he won the West. He pointed out that all thought isn't real.
But there's also the idea of potential infinity.
Isn't based on reality. Like it's all belief.
No, it's just the simple idea that all sensory experience is always finite, it's always particular, and it's always changing. So it's hard to have an idea of something that's not changing, that is infinite, and that is what was the other one I gave? Necessary, or not a particular. Actually did very it's a universal.
To point out, because you were talking about illustrations, right? So the way an image works, but then when you say the image and concept isn't the same thing, you start to lose people because they are.
But it's not. I mean, it definitionally is not.
How? If I am imagining a concept, if I am conceptualizing an image, it means the same exact thing.
No, because if you have an image in your mind, then you're holding. No one thinks you can imagine what God exactly looks like, right? Unless they saw Jesus or something. But I haven't.
Do. Some people believe that very thing.
I have a concept.
Are we not in His image?
No, he said no one though. So just some. No one means some now.
So image as in the way that we are our souls, not our physical being. Our souls are in His image.
All right.
Conceptually.
I'm interested what fucking Harry Potter says.
There it is.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's obvious, but maybe I don't know.
No, for you, because I'm gonna guess that you're a believer. You believe that there
I'm
is
a philosopher. I'm a Christian, but I'm also a philosopher, and I've studied these things.
Very good. And I understand that. I actually know that about you, Andy. But when it was actually what I was telling Azrael is that when he's arguing from the perspective of someone who already believes to a person who doesn't believe, and
never once done that.
And I'm not using a believer's argument. I'm using Plato's argument.
It's yeah. So and that's fair. But going outside the bounds of that, it's going to confuse things. They're not going to believe you. They want to see proof. But the funny thing about believing is that there is a leap. That's belief.
Maybe, I don't know if that's true.
That's the faith. So, like, the leap part is the faith. Like, I'd take something without having the proof. The faith.
No. Faith requires proof.
I don't think faith is just an act of the mind. I think faith is a first actuality.
Belief is the first part. You take evidence
reality.
onto your belief, your already conceived belief, and you then have faith. That is Hebrews 11:1. Look
faith
at it.
We have faith in the evidence not seen.
Yeah, but the argument I'm making, I'm saying, I don't need faith to make the argument I'm making.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
No, you have.
Nobody does.
Hebrews 11:1 backwards.
Nobody does. Right. You don't need
you definitely. You have that backwards, like for sure. Like new faith is confidence, what we hope for, and assurance about what we do not see. Faith is the idea that, like, just because of something, like you believe something, just because you don't have any proof of it, that you still are taking that belief as true. That is the aspect of faith.
No,
that's literally what Hebrews 11:1 says.
Why would?
Well, you'd have to have and that's what Christianity. Like, I've heard the arguments before where Christianity still says this is the solid grounding, and I can back up why I believe it, right? So I don't think it's necessarily I could just say I believe something, even though it could be possibly unfounded and without the ability to
that's not what I'm saying.
Back up the claim. Okay.
No, what I'm saying is like, just because you don't necessarily have the proof or the ability to understand it, like there's a reason why God covers Moses when he's getting the commandments. There's all these other examples throughout biblical history. It's not that you can't necessarily prove it. It's that he gives you proof through nature or his actions or his writings or all these different ways that he gives you the proof that you can go and witness to other people. But when there's something that you're confronted with you don't understand, that's when the belief becomes the faith, because I don't have this in front of me. I'm trying to prove the unseen. That's the faith.
You said it yourself. You just said the belief becomes the faith. So belief comes first. Yeah. You increase.
Sure, I agree with that.
Faith.
Yeah, I mean, but the faith is the taking on what you can't prove or understand. That is
you consider the evidence before you. This is just normal science. Even you consider the evidence before you. Then, if you believe it, you consider more evidence and consider more and more and more, and it becomes something faithful.
Yeah, but you have faith in all sorts of things. Do you understand intimately how an airplane works, or rocket science? You wouldn't, right? But you would get some of it. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Some of it. You have some belief.
But you understand that the airplane go up and it go down. Yeah.
Right. And you
still have faith that it's gonna fly.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have a belief that the pilots probably were regulated.
Trust that it will
put
fly
on there, unless it was DEI or something. You have belief that it's right. Now you're taking faith
to
get you there.
No, it isn't. That's not how it works.
There are different terms. Different
good argument.
Faithful. Fourth Wiseman, our most faithful, trusted dono, especially at this hour. He loves to keep this show going. Sends in the Big Ten, says, stuck in a sewer trying to describe fruit when all I've ever seen is turds floating by. Go ahead, Balderson. You're shaking your head.
That's what I'm saying. So the natural human condition would be, we would imagine fruits look very similar to turds. Now, we could assume that maybe we could sit there and have stone minds and go, what if they don't look like turds? But you don't really have the capacity to understand it because you've not experienced it.
It's a really gross version of Plato's cave.
It is a gross version. And AJ's stuck backstage. He's crying back there like a big baby. But AJ, you got to plead to the chat and beg somebody to send $10 in to boot someone else off so that you can get your fat ass up here and come join the conversation. He's laughing so hard. You got to tell the chat. And Michael Hatch, up on screen. Do you want to read it yourself?
I got sign off. I got a last question.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Imagine someone tells you they're in a brand new, very expensive studio, and they want you to believe that the lines of that studio extend all the way to the floor and the ceiling. And they even wear the ornaments of the vertical brown line, the ones that show the real seriousness of the podcast. And then you find out it's all, these lines don't go forever. They don't even intersect or go parallel. They're just panels. We're all just a panel.
Panels on a panel.
That's the question. With the lines don't go forever, what's it mean? Have a nice night.
That it could be a potential infinity and not a true infinity?
Yes, on that topic. And peace.
Bye, Michael. All right, AJ, you got lucky. Michael's heading out, so you can come up now. You didn't have to beg like a pauper.
I was about to re-download Cash App again and shit. Okay.
So
Faith go ahead. I want everybody to get whatever they want to say get out, so I can just speak uninterrupted for a minute.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that faith comes from the Latin fidere, which means to trust. It literally is translated to trust.
We don't say that we have faith in this person. We say we
Words
trust
have
this
no meaning
person.
anymore. Words have no meaning anymore, Ant. Thank you.
Crime
I say I have faith in people. I say that all the time.
I don't.
I echo that too.
But you have faith in somebody means that you believe they are most likely to XYZ, right? Trusting somebody, I think, would be. I feel like that would be different.
I mean,
trust doesn't require an emotional
Trust
attachment.
Bobby the job done. They're interchangeable.
I trust my girlfriend won't
It
cheat on me,
requires
and I also have
evidence.
faith she won't cheat on me at the same
It
time.
requires evidence. You trust someone because you have seen it in the past. You have faith that someone is going to do something now because in the past they keep doing the same thing. That
Wait,
is
I'd accept that because that makes them two distinct
You
terms.
can't
Like I
accept it
said,
because you don't believe in God, and I
No.
get that, bro. Whatever.
that's not what I said,
Okay,
Britt.
guys,
I
guys,
said I
respectfully,
can
respectfully.
accept those definitely.
I said I wanted you guys to give out your last points and not get into a whole ass argument.
Fair enough, AJ. Go ahead.
Thank you, Bricky. I love you, bro. Still mad you didn't email me back about that shit. But anyway, we'll talk about it later. Guys, when it comes to Arabic, Urdu, Hindi, English, Latin, and many other languages, there is only one human being, and please let me have 60 seconds uninterrupted here. I'm begging.
No 60 seconds for you. I'm kidding,
I was
AJ.
like,
Go
this is
ahead.
crazy. I was
Go
like,
ahead.
Sarah, no.
Go ahead.
But really, honestly, I know I'm known to interrupt everybody and yell over everybody, and I'm so grateful you guys still allow me here. It shows me you guys care. There might be some respect there. I try to earn it. But when you look at any human being, literally our timeline, the Gregorian calendar, is based on the birth and death of this being, BC, AD, after death, before conception. There was only one man, Imam Mehdi, Yeshua ben Yosef, Jesus Christ, that has the Shroud of Turin, according to scientists, is still undeniable in that regard. This
Actually, it's very
biological laser imprint on a blanket that they still cannot figure out. Guys, out of the Judeo-Abrahamic religions, there are billions of people in this world, whether they believe that Jesus is the Son of God or God would send a mortal form of himself to be crucified. These are all out of topic. This is a key concept. And I think being a good person has so much to do with that man, because he was a good person and his own people sold him out to the Roman Empire. So that's all I got to say. Like, when it comes to believing whether God is real or not, believe why you fucking want to do the right thing, even though nobody told you how to.
Do you know what I believe?
You need more super chats?
That too. That most excellent, Azrael. I have taught you well. That too, but I also believe I'm hungry. I'm gonna go get a PB&J sandwich. Balderson is in charge of y'all. AJ, no fucking around. Balderson has free reign to dunk you backstage over and over again just to shut you up and have fun with you and teeter-totter and play with you. All right, I'll be right back, gentlemen. Have fun.
Where did you get that?
AJ, I
What
never
is
got
that
an
on your
email.
phone?
I never got an email from you, AJ.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's way better
I
than my
must have recorded it incorrectly. Let me put it back in private chat again.
Okay.
You realize that
that's
there
smart.
are other calendars that
Yeah,
only
what do you think's funny
the,
there?
basically the Western world goes by that. That
Yeah, there's plenty of calendars. Like, that doesn't prove a damn thing.
there's a lot of different calendars, and there's more.
The Shroud of
people-
Turin's been dated to be too new to have been from Jesus's time.
You
There's
should
actually
continue researching that because that was taken
I'm
from a corner of it.
familiar with the research. You're full of shit, but
That was
continue.
taken from a corner that was actually diluted with new fibers, which were
It's not going to
even linen.
change the rate that carbon-14 decays at.
If you mix two,
It's not going to change the rate that carbon-14
if you mix two
changes
separate
at.
fibers
It's
together,
not going to
they're gonna
change
have
the rate that
different
carbon-14
right.
decays at.
You can keep saying the same thing over and over again.
Because the
just making
physics
it
doesn't
more correct
change.
the second
The
time.
physics and the chemistry does not
How
change.
does
just because it's
carbon-14
inconvenient
dating
to you.
work?
It measures the daughter products of the decay of carbon-14.
It measures
It only
the
works with
half-life.
organic matter. Yeah, it's based off the half-life.
Measures the
No
half
shit.
life. So if you have two separate organisms in one area and you measure the half life of both, you're going to get an average of the two.
No, it'll be roughly this. It should be the same because this is all came from the same piece of cloth. This cloth was manufactured at the same time.
All right,
It wasn't
all right,
manufactured
and
in bits.
you and I, holistically, both of us together, were put into a blender, and then we were to carbon date both of us. Would it have my date or your date, or would it have an average of both of our dates?
You'd be able to find both because you'd find. But yeah, that's not what happened
No,
here.
there would still be the same
That's-
amount of carbon.
That's not what happened here. And there's other dating methods that have been used on the Shroud of Turin that date it far newer than today.
Nope.
I mean, I presume
the
we
newer
both
ones
died
date
at
it
the same time.
a reasonable time that it could be Jesus.
No, it didn't.
I don't believe in the Shroud of Turin, and I don't think that it's a good evidence, and I don't use it. But
Well, then why are you defending it?
To completely deny.
You're a retard.
No.
I actually have a tortilla.
Great
that's in the
argument.
same
Did you
shape
pull
as the
that from
Shroud of Turin.
arguments.com?
I mean, do you really think light imprints on linen like that?
That's
Because
an
it
awesome
would have
argument,
to burn
bro.
it. It would have to burn the linen. That's the only way you can imprint with light onto fabric. It does not receive
It's
light.
proven that it was done with like
No, it's done with dye.
it's disproven. It's been disproven that
Yeah,
it's done
that's
with
been
dye.
disproven. I'm sorry, sir. You got to be genuine, not disingenuous.
It's literally
this whole thing is
surface level. If
disingenuous.
it was dye, that it wouldn't have been surface
Like it
level.
doesn't even show up until the 1350s. Like it was completely unknown until then. So just miss me with the
They
bullshit.
didn't have they didn't have the technology to backdate anthropology or archaeology at that level until the 1300s. Do you understand that? Do you
No, they didn't even have it. They didn't even possess it.
understand it? Do you
He's
even
talking about
understand?
it was never
Do
recorded.
you even
Just because it
understand?
wasn't
Do
written
you
down
even
doesn't mean it
understand
Well, you don't
the
think they
concept?
recorded history before the 1300s?
You're just
Do
saying
you,
there's
do you,
no
do you
record
even
of it
understand the
until
concept,
1300.
sir? Just really quickly, sir, before I get put backstage by Grand Sarah. Do you even understand the concept that English has nothing to do with the languages that were spoken back then, like Aramaic,
I never
Arabic,
said it was.
Urdu?
Never said it
Right.
was.
So, like, these
But they didn't
people
speak
have
Latin either.
Yeah, but you're discrediting all of these people that believe Imam Mahdi in the Islamic Sunni and Shia religion. There's billions of Muslims that believe in that guy.
I
They
don't
believe
give a
he's
shit
going to
what
come
they
back.
believe. That
They
doesn't
believe
prove
he's going to
anything.
come back just like Christians
So
do.
what?
Are
That
they
doesn't mean
all
it
crazy
will.
like your fellow Christians?
Yeah, you are.
All right. Well,
I don't
sir,
give
that's
a
I'm not a
shit.
Christian.
Argument by Ant.
I will secede
And I
to
am
my
not
good
a
sir's
Christian.
point. Then I will secede.
You will
Great
secede.
arguments. But everything you said about the Shroud of
That's
Turin
just
is
an
actually
argument to popularity. It's not an argument.
You literally displayed no argument. You've made assertions, false assertions.
No, I just
about the
reject
Shroud of Turin.
yours. I just reject your assertions. I don't have to accept your assertion. I
It's
don't
not my
have to prove
assertion,
a
it's the science.
rejection.
I am
I am rejecting what you claim as evidence because you've asserted it without evidence. I don't.
The sky
need
is blue.
proof.
The sky is
Yes,
blue.
it is. I agree with you.
Oh wow!
I agree.
Oh, I was testing you.
Well, technically, the sky isn't blue. It's just the way light refracts.
Yeah,
Correct.
and the
Correct. You want to get
the Sumerians,
it's a reflection
the
from the
Sumerians
bottom
didn't
of the
know how to define the
Anyone who
sky, so
studied
they
science
called it.
knows exactly where I was going.
They called the people who inbred them or genetically enhanced them Anunnaki, those from heavens that came. So people like Eric Van Doniken and Zachariah Sitchin that we often criticize today said that these people didn't even know how to describe the sky. It's a really stupid question and it's disingenuous. We're all human beings trying to find out why the fuck we're here.
That's an awesome argument, bro. Did you get that
Sure.
from arguments.com?
Some people are actually trying to look into the problem, and other people are just closing their eyes and just hoping that dear and fluffy Lord is going to carry them forward.
And you should listen to more debates instead of participating in them. You actually
Well, you have the option to make that happen, but
Azrael,
until then, you
Azrael,
can just fuck
respectfully, it
off.
has nothing to do with that. I think people like Ant come from a good place. I think people like Ant, I've often said, and Rocky, Clay, they can all quote me on this, but even both, I've often said, yeah, go
I
ahead,
said,
Bobo.
all
I'm sorry.
right, that meant shut the fuck up.
Sorry, bro.
10th man comes in with, or fourth Wiseman. I was reading another one also. Holy shit, definitely didn't mean to do that. Fourth Wiseman puts up, light imprints curtains, fool, and we can continue one at a time.
Thank you, sir. 10th man's living in your head rent free.
Light does not imprint an image of Jesus on my curtains.
No, light is decaying the pigment in your curtains. It's not imprinting anything.
What about "Don't Be a Dick" gives you guys such a hard time? Is it all the Bible thumping grandpas that made you feel like shit because you didn't go to church on Sundays? I don't get it.
We are the Bible.
Like, what about "Don't Be a Dick" doesn't resonate with good traditional religious people? That, like, whether they are not scientifically inclined, they tend to have good family foundations, and their kids do better than "fuck you, mom, fuck you, dad. I'm gonna identify as Barney in the morning and Santa in the night, and the Constitution better." Like, you guys need to wake the fuck up and smell the coffee. The world's been moved on.
Well, I want to go back to what y'all were just talking about before with that. I think this is interesting when you're talking about these concepts of what color the sky is. There's what is that theory? I guess most ancient languages didn't even have the word blue. Ancient Greek and like some Chinese and like Japanese, I think in Hebrew, they describe things as like wine dark and green, use all these other colors. And then I've seen them do experiments with like uncontacted tribes that didn't have a word for blue, and they describe the sea as green. So I feel like that's kind of something y'all were kind of touching on. Now I don't know so far to go with the Anunnaki being, the water people or the, whatever and all that good jazz. That's a whole different area. But I think that there is something to be said for not being able to define something because the concept doesn't exist yet.
Well, there's actually infinite number of colors unless you're the 10th man, and then infinity doesn't exist, and there's not an infinite spectrum of colors.
Yeah, but you can't see most of them.
But like infinity does exist if you're like if you follow logic and common
it
sense.
does exist. There's an infinite number of colors. There's an infinite number of shades.
Admiral Gibbs.
There's an infinite number of dimensions if you believe in educational science, right? I mean, I don't know.
That depends. Not everybody subscribes to multi-worlds theory.
So do you think quantum physics and the Hadron Collider in Switzerland is all just a grift for money like on YouTube?
No, they're doing
Texas A&M has a large hadron collider in Texas, and like they use it all the time.
I don't get the train
has
of
that ripped the
thought.
whole
How do those
like in the
correlate?
universe? What is your point here? Was
Yeah, I agree.
My point,
Literally,
sir,
we have multiple of those.
CERN was literally founded on the concept of quantum physics, was it not?
Particle physics.
Particle physics.
Oh Lord, okay. Well, I apologize for not giving you the proper definition.
Isn't that the same?
Well, they're different fields.
Can you
Yeah,
give a
that's
layman? Can you give a layman some leeway?
Yeah, I'm just letting you know it's for particle physics. You said quantum physics.
What's the difference?
You're not going to observe quantum effects in a particle accelerator.
Quantum effects, they're a particle accelerator. You're literally taking particles and speeding them up as fast as you can and smashing them together. It's literally just a fucking demolition derby particle thing.
It's so we can look at the component particles that make up like atoms and stuff. So
right, but then isn't
what those parts are made of?
Isn't quantum physics basically like an offshoot of particle physics?
No, I'm not exactly sure I would describe it that way, but I'm not a quantum physicist, so
I would say particle physics fits within the quantum scale, but the quantum scale does not fit in particle physics.
Very good. That's what I'm saying, Ezra. Perfect. Yes. Yeah, because ultimately the idea is that they're trying to figure out, what's happening on the quantum level is based upon what can we do in particle physics.
I was just going to say earlier too with Admiral Gibbs that it is interesting that they can't describe things, but I often wonder. I think it's harder to say it's a lack of a concept rather than saying it's a lack of terms. It doesn't necessarily mean they lack the concept or the image from the world itself.
Well, that's where the famous Greek logic arguments came from, where you had things like Diogenes bringing in a plucked chicken to foil the human being a featherless biped.
You mean the little T-Rex?
I don't know.
just want to say, Azrael, the sky is literally not blue joke actually killed me. I was upstairs making my little PB&J when you guys did that, and your little kickback
But
to it.
it's not though. It's literally.
I know,
not.
but I started laughing. I'm like mid PB&J making, and I started laughing hysterically.
I could have
out loud.
sworn I heard
Like Blue
you
Jays
laughing.
aren't blue. Blue Jays are not blue.
You wouldn't be able to hear
Eyes
me up
aren't
there,
blue.
but
Maybe not, but I could have sworn. Maybe it was Miss Balderson. Is Miss Balderson in the background? Maybe she was laughing at it too.
She is.
Somebody laughed, yeah.
To my
Okay.
knowledge, and I
Yeah.
could be wrong about this, the only actual blue pigment that exists in nature is a moth. So other than that, anything you see is blue is only
a moth.
yeah. Anything else like blue jay, they use microscopic